Honestly, we may not get 1, 2, or 3 fantasy drafts today. We may be drafting all freaking day. I've been waiting for this legitimately all day. I've been reading a book for the past hour, trying to kill time for this live stream. We are in. We are going to warm up with the Schnauzer Tooth. This is the $3 tournament, $100,000 to first place. 2 out of 12 teams advance past the regular season into the playoff tournament. Then you're put in a 10-team group in week 15. If you are the highest scoring team in that 10-team group, then you advance to week 16. For the highest scoring team in that week 16 group, out of the 10 people, you advance to the week 17 310-person final. And that's how you get the crazy prizes like $100,000 for first, $50,000 for second, all the way down the line. But let's go ahead, let's warm up, and then we'll get into the larger tournament. We'll get into Best Ball Mania in just 1 second. But I will be honest with you, I've already done a decent amount of these drafts so far today. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out and hanging out with us. Ice Mike asking when the regular puppy will drop. Have you already maxed out your little Schnauzer? Because you should get 20 little Schnauzer drafts where you're able to just go ahead and slam them in. J-Rob says another stream with no Superflex puppy. Maybe at the very end of this, I'll get you a Superflex draft, my friend, if you beg enough. Beg and plead enough. But yeah, long hair Burrow is going to be a problem. If you did not see, the Joe Burrow picture is pretty funny today. Let me pull this up. We're at pick 6. I absolutely love pick 6. Like, I am very, very happy about this. In middle of the draft, pick 5, pick 6, in probably the best spot to be in. So this is the Joe Burrow hairstyle. I saw this, and no lie, I thought it was so bad that I didn't believe it. This is the new Joe Burrow look. You know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to send this to the girlfriend, because all I hear is, I'll tell my girlfriend how hot Sydney Sweeney is. She'll hit me back with the Joe Burrow. Come on. Is this now going to be the ladies' male icon? I doubt it. I doubt it. But anyway, we got Jared in this draft with us at 2. We got Jason in this draft with us at 10. Wyatt in here at 7. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me, of course. And we are going to get Jahmyr Gibbs at pick number 6. A stupid simple with Jahmyr Gibbs. We can go ahead and we can pull this up. And again, if y'all ever want to just do any quick views of like fantasy football stats, well, one thing you can do if you are at a computer, especially where it's easy, you don't have to keep on togging back and forth between windows, is if you wanted to go look at our best ball rankings, just go to the site, hit best ball. And then when you're on here, if you're a paid member, you can look at my exact rankings, just hit sort by Mason Dodd. If not, you're going to get the expert average, which I still think is very valuable. And honestly, I kind of use the expert average more than my own ranks. But if you're ever wondering like, oh, I don't know who to take here at pick 6, you get a quick little brief overview of maybe the ceiling of that player, where we can go through and we can see, oh, Jahmyr Gibbs was the running back 2 last season on points per game. And you can see, oh, when you had no David Montgomery at the end of the year, the man just went absolutely nuclear and he was averaging over 30 points per contest. So you can see the true ceiling that you get with Gibbs. Now, obviously, no Ben Johnson, not only no Ben Johnson, but the offensive line downgrades as well. So I would not draft Jahmyr Gibbs as the running back 2 overall in fantasy this season. But I'll take him as the RB3 at pick 6. I probably would have preferred CeeDee Lamb. A.J. Brown off the board at pick 16. Achane goes to the McCaffrey team. So let's see. We're going to get Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey is the last player in this tier. I honestly haven't drafted a ton of Ladd. But yeah, once Ladd McConkey goes, then pick 20 through like 30. They're all the same. I mean, maybe if you really like Jonathan Taylor and you view Taylor as a different caliber player, you do you. Jonathan Taylor won people like millions of dollars on Underdog last year. I think that's a big reason why Jonathan Taylor goes at this price point. As realistically, if we go ahead and we look at Jonathan Taylor's season, the man was nothing until the final 3 weeks. And then week 16, he drops 40 points. And in week 17, he drops 28. So he was the RB1 in week 16, the RB1 in week 17, and won people millions on Underdog. But of course, if y'all are interested in hopping in any Underdog drafts with us, we're back in the studio. And honestly, I think that's maybe one of the reasons why I'm so damn excited to start streaming yet again. Like, I really been waiting for this all day. But yeah, we're going to be doing these drafts every single night. This Underdog Fantasy, best ball, so there's no time commitment at all during the season. So I draft hundreds of teams every year, so I won a decent amount of money back in the day. And of course, if you wanted to join a draft with us, you can find the link to Underdog Fantasy in the live chat where it says draft with us here. Or you can just scan this QR code, whatever is going to be easier for you. And if you use promo code FLOCK, you will get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, you will be getting my 2025 fantasy football rankings, draft guide cheat sheets, and Underdog is available in damn near every state. You can see the map here, ladies and gentlemen. And just to know if Underdog's in your state. But let's move this over. And at pick 30, we should have, yes, that's what I thought. I thought we were going to get a value falling to us. We get Garrett Wilson. Kind of see that value getting set up with Josh Allen going off the board at pick 25. Interesting to see the team at 1 decide to go with Josh Allen at 25 after starting Chase and Higgins. I do not mind at all reaching on Josh Allen to have the unique Josh Allen-Jamar Chase pairing here at pick 1. Now, the one spot I wouldn't be reaching on Josh Allen, however, at pick 25 is if I drafted both the combination of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Because if I have both Chase and Higgins, then at that point, I think you are already so committed to this Cincinnati Bengals offense. It probably suits you best to just set up a Joe Burrow pick later. So if I was ever going to be taking like Josh Allen on a Jamar Chase build, it's maybe one where I go like Jamar Chase, Rashee Rice, and then Josh Allen. Or Jamar Chase, Bucky Irving, and then Josh Allen. I don't know if I want to go with like Chase, Higgins, then Allen, all on the same team. Dylan says, hopefully you get Davante Adams at 30. Yeah, I know that if like you watch any video, if you listen to anybody, everybody's favorite third round pick is Davante Adams. I sent out this tweet earlier today. I know obviously people got very upset with me over it, as they tend to do. But while anybody who's smart, their favorite pick ever, what they say, is always Davante Adams, I at least want to bring up that he's a soon-to-be 33-year-old receiver is going to be on his third team in 2 seasons. So for me, if I'm looking at like Garrett Wilson in comparison to Davante Adams, where Garrett Wilson stepping into the prime of his career, Garrett Wilson who averaged only 2.5 fantasy points fewer than Davante Adams last season, I would definitely prefer Garrett Wilson over Adams. We're just going to continue to play catch-up at wide receiver here. We will take Tet McMillan at 43. But yeah, we have the anchor running back with Gibbs, right? So I'm not going to sit here and act like wide receiver is the biggest need for us ever. I mean, going Ladd McConkey, Garrett Wilson, Tet McMillan puts us in a really strong spot at the position. But still, all in all, when I go running back in round 1 in these underdog drafts, a big part of me just wants to slam wide receivers afterwards. But of course, the FSE guys had to come at me. The reason I made the tweet is, y'all know I consider the FSE guys extremely sharp, despite their performance in the Flock League. Sorry, Bush. But full transparency, the guys that I listen to most on fantasy football YouTube are the FSE guys. I think that they are very, very sharp. Their rankings are obviously on the side as well. If y'all don't know the FSE guys, that's Danny and Bush. But I was listening to their 10 players I can't stop drafting video today, and they were clamoring all over Davante Adams. And I'm not going to fault anybody at all for drafting Davante Adams here, like pick 34. But like for me, I just prefer the younger guys like Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. I prefer the Ohio State receivers that are trending upwards in their careers. Henry asking for a big dog. Let me go ahead and hop in a big dog and see how many spots are left. If we can fill a big dog tonight, I'll do a big dog. Like I said, I think we are going to be getting in a ridiculous amount of drafts. So if you have not done so already, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button. And if you want to come out to these live streams, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. But let me see how many spots are open in a big dog. My computer's being a little slow to do it on my phone. Zay Flowers off at 52. Oh, I would have loved to get George Kittle there. But we will take Jalen Waddle at 54. One thing that we need to note is Obviously, when we pass on an elite level quarterback here, we do want to put ourselves in a position in which we have a couple different options for the quarterbacks that we can be targeting later on. While I haven't drafted a lot of Jalen Waddle this season, which is a first for me, at least this does open us up the door, open up the Tua possibility. We kind of needed another wide receiver with having the anchor RB with Jahmyr Gibbs. And so we do have the ability to grab Tua later now. So now we could go like Justin Herbert, Justin Fields, Bryce Young, and Tua. And what I like doing with our wide receivers early is putting ourselves in a position in which I'm not going to really need to be reaching on any of these quarterbacks. Ooh, we actually may be able to get in a big dog. I don't want to be reaching on any of the quarterbacks to complete stacks. So if we have a bunch of stacking options where I don't feel like we need to force anything, that would be ideal. But yeah, the FSE guys are the Fantasy Stock Exchange. Sorry. The FSE guys are the Fantasy Stock Exchange. Let me pull this up. So I just got in the big dog draft, and there are 7 spots available. No, 7 spots filled. There only need to be 5 more people to fill this big dog. So if y'all want to see a $500 draft, y'all want to participate in a $500 draft, there's a chance we can get it going. I will change the title of this live stream to a $500 fantasy football draft. And I'm fine hanging out here for a while tonight and seeing if we can really fill this thing. Okay. Now, Addison goes, I will just be boring. I'll take a wide receiver here. We will grab Jerry Jeudy. I think Jerry Jeudy and Chris Olave are very similar. I think they're both very talented wide receivers, both with absolute garbage offenses and garbage quarterback play. Now, with that being said, I've drafted more Chris Olave than Jerry Jeudy so far this season. So might as well mix it up. Might as well get us a little Jeudy here. Okay. But let me change the title of this live stream. Joe Burrow immediately goes after. So maybe that team to take Josh Allen is fine because maybe they wouldn't have gotten a Burrow double stack there anyway. Okay, I changed the title of this live stream to $500 fantasy football draft. So hopefully any of the sharks that are here ready to take my money, if they open up their YouTube homepage and they see that we can possibly fill one, they run over and hop in. But looks like somebody did get in because there are only 4 spots left now. Quinshon Judkins goes pick 74. I'd have been happy to get Judkins on the way back around, especially once you go Jerry Jeudy, because then you can make a consolidated bet. Like, what if the Browns offense isn't an absolute dumpster? Okay, let's move this back. Isaiah Pacheco off the board at pick 75. I have noticed a lot of these running backs moving up like Swift and Pacheco, which, again, we talked about this the second that you had those signings with Dobbins and Chubb. But you can make a strong argument that those veteran running backs became more safe and they should be moving up. Caleb Johnson was the guy that we were wanting once Quinshon Judkins was off the board. In general, I think if we can make it a rule of thumb, which I haven't done a good job of doing so far, but if I can make it a rule for us where we have to draft, oh dear God, that was scary, where we have to draft a rookie running back in every draft with how strong this rookie running back class is, I think that would be ideal if we could. Easier said than done, though. But Cheeky Opson, happy to see you, my guy. And hopefully you can make it out to the Flock meetup this year. Just in case I haven't told you already, the Flock meetup should be the 17th. Whatever August 13th through 18th, the Sunday of August 18th through 13th through 18th, it's going to be that Sunday. I think that's the 17th. So hopefully you can make it down to Austin for the meetup, my guy. If y'all don't know, Cheeky Opson, every year we've had the meetup in Austin, he's made it, Hopefully I get to see you again, my guy. Okay. Now, Brian Robinson, Pollard, both off the board. I like the team. Seems like very simple. Doesn't seem too unique. Vinny says, I'm sitting in the big dog, shows 5 people needed. Are we in the slow or the 30-second? It would be the 30-second for the live draft. You can see there that we have 4 spots open on my end. Kyler Murray off pick 89. So we could go Mahomes and we could follow this up with Travis Kelce in the next round, but I'm going to keep it stupid simple. We're just going to take Josh Downs. And we are going to put ourselves in a position in which we can afford to just slam quarterbacks and tight ends in the range in which I prefer. Like Mahomes goes immediately after a pick 92. I think this team may be on auto draft. Yeah, I think the team at 5 may be on auto. Okay, so let's move this over. Reed says, taking a small break from drafting, but I'm in still 3 slow drafts. I've been hopping in more underdog slow drafts. I think I may do more drafts this year than I did last year. Last year, I think I did about 400. And honestly, maybe I did less. Maybe I'm pulling that number out my butt. But I want to bump it up. I want to get more. So what I did for the first time ever today is I hopped in some slow weekly winner drafts. So if you wanted to be in some slow drafts and watch me just get absolutely crushed, you can hop in some slow weekly winners, because I promise you, and I genuinely mean this more than I could ever mean anything, I have literally no idea what I'd be doing in weekly winners. But we're going to try it anyway. I'm not going to stream it because I don't want to embarrass myself too much. But we'll do it on slow drafts on the side. Okay. Eli says, how much Genty stock do you have? I would imagine that I am very much just equal weight Ashton Genty. I can go ahead and pull this up. Boom, 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 boom. Trey Harris goes, the question is, do we take Justin Fields to pair up with Garrett Wilson, or do we take Jalen Warren to just monopolize every single touch in this Pittsburgh Steelers backfield? Looking at the quarterbacks that are going to be available to us later, we could go Herbert with Ladd. We could go Bryce Young with McMillan. We could go Tua with Waddle. But Jerry Jeudy and Josh Downs, like, I'm not wanting to take Daniel Jones, saying that Daniel Jones is the most likely starter week 1, and then Daniel Jones doesn't really have any fantasy upside, and Daniel Jones could be at risk of getting benched by Anthony Richardson. So we'll play it safe. We'll go Justin Fields here. We'll get a quarterback with a lot of rushing upside, get a quarterback that's obviously stacks up with Garrett Wilson. I mean, if we can go through and look at the ceiling that we've had from Justin Fields through his career, you do get some pretty big spike weeks. He was the QB1 last season in week 4 against Denver. Going back to 2023 in week 5 against Denver, he was also the QB1. He was the QB3 against KC. You have 1, 2, 3 other top 5 quarterback finishes. In 2022, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 top 5 finishes, including a 42-point bomb. So we've seen Fields give you the fantasy upside. I want to be on record, and I'm sure that y'all know this by now. I do not think Justin Fields is a good quarterback. We've gotten a lot of hate for saying that over the past few years. I think people probably agree with us at this point. I think Brock Purdy and Caleb Williams are much, much better real-life QBs. But who cares? Justin Fields gives us some rushing upside. Ashton says, hey, Mason, I looked at Puka versus Jefferson, and Puka seems to be better in every way. What way makes Jefferson better? I think Justin Jefferson is a much better wide receiver than Puka Nacua. My personal opinion is I think Justin Jefferson's the most talented wide receiver in the league. Drake May off the board at 112. Shaheed off 113. I don't want to say too much on the clock. Najee goes. We'll take Zach Charbonnet. So if you're looking at Jonnu Smith, I think Jonnu's very comparable to the tight ends that we're going to get available to us in round 11. And one thing that I've noticed, and y'all know, like I said, I do a lot of these slow drafts as well. Jonnu Smith's falling down boards at the moment. Like if you're ever in a spot in which you're like, oh, John, I need a tight end. Jonnu's top of ADP. Might as well, let's just go ahead and let's take Jonnu Smith. In reality, the Jonnu Smith ADP at this point doesn't feel real to me. This happens pretty much every offseason on Underdog. There'll be a player that's moving up quickly or falling fast. And you kind of just got to ignore that player's ADP for the time being until it settles. Like an example of that earlier this offseason was Rashee Rice, right? Rashee Rice had like a late third round ADP, but once we figured out, oh yeah, this dude's actually going to be healthy, that ADP became complete garbage because you would never get him in the late third. J.K. Dobbins is an example of that right now. Nick Chubb is an example of that right now. On the flip side, I would say Byshell Tutin's a player that's been falling a ton where I don't necessarily think that you ever really need to take him at his ADP. Okay, but King Rube says, I think Chase edges it for his yak. So my thought process is if we're just like nitpicking and going like best wide receiver in the league, if you gave Justin Jefferson Joe Burrow, I don't know what would happen. And if you look at like Justin Jefferson, the worst mark we've ever seen from him was 2.57 yards per route run. The dude's played 5 years. And this is the worst mark we've ever seen. The lowest mark we've ever seen from a target share perspective is at 26.5%. I think it's hard to get away from him. We are going to go ahead and pull the trigger on Tyler Warren. I am personally trying to make Tyler Warren one of my most drafted players. I just absolutely love the price point. It would have been exciting to get Justin Herbert on the way back around here at 126, but the team at 124 takes him. That team also had Trey Harris. Not going to fault them for taking Justin Herbert whatsoever, right? I think I possibly would have done the same thing. In reality, I probably wouldn't because I wouldn't have taken Trey Harris myself, but that's just me. Okay. Let's move this. Mark says, oh yeah, if you're drafting on ESPN and Sleeper, Genty is a smash. Where does Genty go? Fuji says, just goes to show how elite 2019 LSU is. Yeah, I know I've flexed on this, on y'all before about this, but I actually got to see 2019 LSU play my Texas Longhorns. I was at UT the entire week. This is like right at the beginning of the season before people realized how good Jefferson, Chase, and Burrow truly were. Everybody was just talking about, oh, we're DBU. Oh, no, we're DBU. And hey, by the way, the big dog's going to fill. There are 2 spots left. We are going to get a $500 draft going live, our first of the year. I've done some slows, but I've not done a live $500 draft yet. But yeah, the entire week, everybody was going like, oh, we're DBU. Oh, no, we're DBU. And people were arguing back and forth about who had the best defensive backs between LSU and Texas. And then Burrow dropped like, God knows, like 500 passing yards on us with Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. And everybody all week clowned on us, going like, oh, y'all thought y'all were blob DBU and y'all just let Joe Burrow drop 500 yards on you? Hindsight being 2020, who knew that Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase were just some of the best college football players ever. Okay. Yeah, smash that like button. It looks like we are 1 spot away from getting that $500 draft going. Sidon says pick 9 incoming for the big dog. If I can get pick 5 or 6, I'd be ecstatic. Give me pick 5 or 6. Oh, dear God. Lawrence McCarthy, we don't have any potential stacks. Marvin Mims is the worst pick in fantasy. He falls 15 picks past ADP. We kind of need a receiver. F it, I don't care. I don't freaking care. Okay, this is a $3 draft. How am I going to say Marvin Mims is the worst wide receiver in fantasy drafts? and then take him over the big Q. People are going to absolutely hate this, but I love how every time I go to flockfantasy.com to try to show the big Q stats, I type in big at first. Let's look at these guys next to each other. The big Q last year, 1.93 yards per route run, played 72% of the snaps, wide receiver 42. Marvin Mims, crazy efficiency, 2.85 yards per route run. The dude played 27% of the snaps and was the wide receiver 75. How the hell are you going to tell me that I should be taking Marvin Mims over the big Q? I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it. So we'll go with the big Q, pair him up with Ladd McConkey, go what if Trey Harris doesn't move the needle, or what if, actually, if Marvin Mims makes it to us a 150, don't hate me for taking him, all right? 150 is different than 123. McMillan goes 148. See where Joshy goes. Goes Austin Eckler. F Marvin Mims. We're taking Rachaad White. Taking Rachaad White here, getting a running back that will have a role in his offense. Possibly provides us some usable weeks outside of a Bucky Irving injury. But if Bucky goes down, I believe Rachaad White could be a league winner. Not saying he's good, but I don't think you have to be a good running back to be a league winner in fantasy if you get put into the right situation. So we'll go Rachaad White at 150. This makes me feel a lot more comfortable also about only drafting 5 RBs. And this is a team where we go Justin Fields in the 9th, Tyler Warren in the 11th, but we have not selected another quarterback or tight end through the first 13 rounds. So I probably will take 2 more quarterbacks and 2 more tight ends. J. Rob says, I think everyone knows Marvin Mims is terrible. Yeah, Marvin Mims falling like a rock. Marvin Mims is another one of those players that he has a fake ADP. And I will say, I want to be on record. Marvin Mims going alongside Joshua Palmer, Jalen McMillan, Cedric Tillman, Wan'Dale Robinson, good pick. Good pick. My issue with Marvin Mims is he typically goes before Colson Loveland and Tyler Warren. Bad pick. Taking him before Tyler Warren and Loveland, bad pick. Taking him after Leggett and the big Q, good pick. So I want to be on record. If Marvin Mims falls to us at 163, it'll be an auto selection for me. Henry says 1 dropped out of the big dog. I mean, it still shows that there's only 1 more spot open in the $500 draft for me. Yeah, I'm at the point where I'm thinking something happened to Mims. J-Rob says, what I want to know is how they projected him for like 140 points. So I'm going to peel back the curtain. I'm going to speak out of my ass because I have no idea what Underdog's doing. I'm going to speak about my own experience, which obviously is probably very, very different than what Underdog does. So obviously I've had to meet with all the advanced statistics providers for what we're doing over on flockfantasy.com, right? We're going to take Tua here. We're going to pair up Tua with Waddle. I was really just going to take whoever fell between Tua and Bryce Young because we had Waddle, we had McMillan. We gave ourselves a couple different options here at QB. But so I've met with like all the stat providers. I don't necessarily know who does Underdogs, but obviously like when you're in week 4 and you want to check how your Underdog teams are doing and it's 1 p.m. on Sunday, it's not like Underdog has a team of people that's watching every single game and manually updating it, right? They're these stat providers. You pay them a fee every single year. Pretty damn expensive. It's expensive for us. I can't even imagine how much it is for Underdog. And then they go through and they provide you with any of these stats. So, and when you do this, they try to sell you on 50 different things. They're like, so as an example, let's go through and let's look at like me purchasing some statistics when we have access, and we're going to be rolling out with new tools, way more stuff than what you just see here with this Jonathan Taylor page. But if I go through and I purchase these Jonathan Taylor stats, there's a package that gets you the basic stats. Like, oh, his fantasy points per game, his fantasy rank, his carries, his yards. But then there's a different package that gets you advanced statistics. His juke rate, his carries inside the 5-yard line, his snap rate. There's a different package that gives you sportsbook data. There's a different package that gives you blah, blah, blah. One of the things that you can add on is projections, at least that we had the ability with the people that we were talking about. And my take on it was, I have no idea where the hell y'all are getting these projections. I don't value y'all's opinion whatsoever. So I didn't pay for it. So here's my assumption. Here's my guess. And of course, I'm talking out of my ass, just giving y'all my experience. I'm assuming when y'all see these projections next to these players on Underdog, we're going to go Cam Ward as our third quarterback. We'll take a couple bum Tennessee Titans later on, but having Fields and Tua at like pick 102, 163, I think we can take a third QB. But my guess is when y'all see these projections, it's just whoever Underdog's paying to get like all the live updates with all the stats, they went, hey, for X amount of dollars, we'll give you this projection package. And Underdog went, cool, here it is. And here's the money. And they threw it on the thing. So that's my guess. Now, Jan says just got Genty at the 208. Is that in an Underdog draft? Because there's no way. There is no way. The $500 draft has not filled yet. Right now, it looks like there are 2 spots open. Somebody keeps leaving and rejoining. I will promise you, the second the $500 draft starts, we're turning this off and we're going over to the $500 draft. I'm not going to be doing a $3 draft on the live stream and then secretly doing the $500 draft on my phone. DJ says, how do you feel about Mike Clay's projections? I know that he's been like an industry veteran. He's done them for absolutely ever. And he's one of the first people ever to do things. Yada, yada, yada. Full transparency, I never look at them. Not saying they're not valuable. Not saying that they're not good. They could be amazing. I don't look at them. Okay. Vinny says, Mason, you're sure you're in the 32nd $500 draft? How about this? I'll leave this draft real quick and I'll rejoin to make sure I'm in the 32nd one. So, Big Dog, 32nd, enter. Yep, 2 spots left. Vinny, I think if it's not showing 2 spots left for you, it means you're... One, maybe it means Underdog's not allowing us to get in the same draft together. They're throwing you in a different room. But I'd assume that's not the case. We are just going to guarantee ourselves that we are going to walk away with a Titan. We need a tight end. All these tight ends are about the same. So we'll go ahead. We'll take Chig at pick 10. And in the last 2 rounds of this draft, we're going to take a running back and a tight end. Okay. And so far, here's the squad. I like the team. Running back, Jahmyr Gibbs, Caleb Johnson, Zach Charbonnet, Rashad White, and then some random bum at the very end. Quarterback, we have Fields stacked with Wilson. We have Tua stacked with Waddle. We have Cam Ward stacked with Chig. Wide receiver, we have Ladd McConkey, Garrett Wilson, Tet McMillan, Jalen Waddle, Jerry Jeudy, Josh Downs, the big Q, and then tight end, we have Tyler Warren, Chig, and then we'll take some third bum here at the very end. And 1 spot open in that $500 draft. If it has not filled by the time we have this draft over with, I will go ahead and we'll hop in another $3 one. But fair warning, if I get in that $3 one and then this next second the $500 draft fills, I'm going to finish the $3 one on my phone and I'm going to do the $500 one on stream. Okay. Let's move this over. We are looking at 1 running back and 1 tight end. I'm going to take Miles Sanders. I don't think Javonte Williams is great. I don't think Jaden Blue is great. We got the report saying Miles Sanders is taking first-team reps in Dallas. Now you have no Chubb. You have no Dobbins as options to be a Cowboy. So maybe Miles Sanders is going to be that dude. We'll see. Nolan says he'll hop in. We'll see. There's one spot, my guy. Okay. I saw Floodgate, I believe, just went absolutely nuts on me on Twitter earlier and called me a cuck for not liking Davante Adams. Unless it's a different Floodgate. But okay, the draft is filled. Let me go ahead, get a tight end or two queued. Jatavion, we have Tet. Maybe that matters. Maybe it doesn't. Noah Gray, Terrence Ferguson, Ben Sinnott. We'll get one of these guys. But let me move this over and pull up the $500 draft. Here we are. I knew this was going to be a big stream. We knew it would be. Okay, where is that $500 draft? Sorry, like I said, I am in a decent amount of slows at the moment. Let me just hit Control F, big dog, if that's what's going to take. Big dog. Here we are. We get pick number 7. Y'all know I prefer being in the middle of the draft. I would rather have that set up than picking at the end. Good luck, everyone. For people who are able to get in. And we will see what happens. Done like 4 or 5 big dog slows already that have already completed, and we've gotten Gibbs in a few of them. So here, y'all know what I'm going to do. Let me double check to make sure I don't. Let's go. We will take McCaffrey. I will make sure McCaffrey stays inside our top 5 running backs in terms of total dollars spent with CMC. They're saying he's fully healthy at the moment. If we go over and look at what a fully healthy McCaffrey does, he prints league-winning fantasy seasons. We can go through and look at this. As a rookie, maybe we ignore it. That was before he put on weight. That's before he became the true bell cow. Since then, the RB2, the RB1 got injured. The RB2, the RB1 got injured. So it's been about a 50-50 coin flip. Will we see CMC either win you your league, or will McCaffrey get injured? It's obviously a lot scarier making that type of investment in McCaffrey in a $500 draft as opposed to a $3 draft. But hell, we were able to win the big dog tournament for $100K a couple years ago. We did not do that. And honestly, I think we had McCaffrey on that team. We did not do it because we were drafting scared. And I believe on that team, there were 2 tournaments that we won. I think they both had A.J. Brown on them. I know one of them for sure had McCaffrey. I think maybe they both had McCaffrey and A.J. Brown. It was a long time ago. I know at least the team that won 100K had CMC. But it would have been nice to get A.J. Brown and just get the gang back together. So this is something that I would not have done in the past. I would have, and may still be wrong. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and act like, oh, I've cracked the code all of a sudden. I know the right formula. I know what to do. This could be a massive mistake. Because I think Brock Bowers could outscore Ladd McConkey straight up. But just from doing enough of these underdog drafts, where like the ADP has it, where Marvin Mims goes ahead of like Tyler Warren, Marvin Mims goes ahead of Loveland. I do not want to be in a spot having to chase wide receivers late and not being able to take tight ends. So whenever I have done these drafts, and I've done well over 100 of them at this point. I've done probably about 150 now, maybe even more. I like my teams a hell of a lot better when I don't take Brock Bowers. But we will see. We will see. And yes, I know the CMC pick's going to be controversial. Like I said in the past, if I'm looking at McCaffrey, it's won us 100,000 in this tournament before. Could be absolute zero. But again, how many of these teams are going to advance to the fantasy football playoff tournament? 2. So there are already 10 teams in this league taking a 0. If you're telling me I get a 50-50 coin flip, that I have a VRB1 or RB2 overall in fantasy, or I'm just like another one of the 10 teams that's going to not win anything, it's going to lose, I'll take that 50-50 coin flip. Okay. Jason says he would rather have CMC and Ladd than Puka and JT. I'd way rather have CMC and Ladd as well. But let's see what happens. Jacobs goes 29 to the team at 5. Team at 5, Gibbs, McBride, Jacobs. That's you're very rarely ever going to see a team like that. Bucky Irving was available at 30? Wow. If we could have had Bucky Irving at 31, I would have gone for it. Oh, for sure. But similar to what we did in the last draft, we just warmed up with a $3 one. We are at pick 6, very similar range. Things look very similar here. We decided to start it with the anchor RB with Gibbs and then hammer wide receivers through the middle rounds. I think I'm going to go ahead and probably do the same thing here. I'm going to take CMC, hammer wide receivers through these middle rounds, going Ladd at 18, Davante Adams at 31. We'll see. And yeah, probably I would have taken Tyreek Hill over Davante Adams if he would have made it. But we did not get that opportunity. And the year that we won the 100K in this tournament, it was, I believe, CMC versus Davante Adams. Maybe that was for the Bulldog 2 where we won 20K. But regardless, one of the tournaments that we won, it was the Niners and like Raiders game went to overtime. And there were like 2 teams in the tournament that had Davante Adams that were close to beating me, and I had McCaffrey. And it was one of the very few times in fantasy football before the Flock League that I was on my feet, losing my mind, needing McCaffrey points. Okay. See what QB the King does. He goes Jameson. If he took Tet, I was going to pass on Jameson, Daniels, Hunter, and I was going to reach down for DK Metcalf. But we will keep it stupid simple. We will be boring. We will pair up the old crusty guys that we have with a wide receiver that I absolutely love the prospect profile of, that has elite market share numbers coming out of school, gets the top 10 NFL draft capital, and can very easily be the alpha in his offense. So real quick, if you're over on the site, one thing that you can do is hit the prospects button, and you can actually get a sense of where these rookies stack up historically. Obviously, auto load will be running back. Just go and select wide receiver instead. And here you can see like wide receivers that Ted McMillan has historically been close to. Like I've had a 90, just say within a 90% grade plus or minus 3. You have like Chase, Lamb, McMillan, London, Rome. Like Tet is an insane prospect. Yes, this is a $500 draft. So of course, if you have not done so already, go down there, hit that like button. It's going to be a big live stream. Big stream. So Kittle, Hurts both off the board. Wilden says he has a 0% exposure to Jameson so far this season. I almost think Jameson's the most risky Lion to regress this next year with the offensive coordinator change with the offensive line downgrade. It's like if the offensive line's worse this season, does Goff have the time to get the ball to Jameson? Waddle goes. We're just going to continue to be boring. We're going to take Zay Flowers. And I see people asking how Tet grades out to be such a good prospect. Let me just pull up Tet McMillan real quick and give you a quick little rundown if you weren't with us for the Dynasty season. This is going to be stupid simple. But the most impressive thing about Tet McMillan is if we look at his production in comparison to the other wide receivers at Arizona. Tet McMillan, as a true junior, was averaging 109 receiving yards per game, essentially 110. He was at 109.9. 110 receiving yards per game. The next best player was a tight end at 27. Then a receiver at 27. This is what true dominance looks like. He had 8 receiving touchdowns out of 18 total for the entire offense. That's exactly what you look for. Young breakout plus the top 10 draft capital. I love it. Okay. This is nerve-wracking. Like I said, this is our first $500 draft of the offseason live. Okay. Jawan Jennings goes 60. Jacoby Myers 62. That may be the earliest I've ever seen Myers go. Okay. What's about to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? I am on the edge of my seat. Kenneth Walker goes 63. Kenneth Walker would have been an auto pick for me at 66. Chris Olave goes 64. If you go to the site and you look at my rankings, I have Trevion Henderson over RJ Harvey. Do I want to go with the unique pick? Do I want to take RJ Harvey here in the middle of the 6th when he's very rarely gone there so far this offseason? Or do I go with the player that I think's in the... We'll take RJ Harvey. I definitely have more Trevion Henderson. I think if I had to make an argument for running back straight up, it's Henderson, but they're in the same tier. If they're in the same tier, I've drafted a lot more Henderson so far this season. RJ Harvey, the vast majority of this offseason has been getting drafted at like the beginning of the 5th round. So I think there'll be very few teams in this tournament, at least so far, that get RJ Harvey at the price tag that we are at pick 66. I would have for sure preferred Kenneth Walker. I would have for sure preferred Chuba Hubbard, for sure preferred Kamara. I think in a vacuum, I probably prefer Trevion Henderson as well. Absolutely love that team at 4 that now is getting Trevion Henderson there at pick 69. I think that's a great value. But it is what it is. And Vinny gets Burrow to fall all the way to him at 71. Congrats, Vinny. Obviously, he could have maybe squeezed it a little bit more and seen if the Chase team would have taken Burrow with Hurts. But there's no reason to even risk that if you're Vinny. Just go ahead and take Joe Burrow. Pair him up with T. Higgins at a massive value. Okay. J.K. Dobbins obviously hurts RJ Harvey's value. If it wasn't for J.K. Dobbins signing, RJ Harvey would have been my pick at 55. Or at least it would have been close. But RJ Harvey was going like the beginning of the 5th round. J.K. Dobbins signing is the reason here he's going in the middle of the 6th. Now Jaden Reed goes 66. Kind of similar to the team that we drafted in the last draft, especially if we take a wide receiver in round 7. If we go with the wide receiver in round 7, it's almost identical to the structure of what we did in the last draft. I'm going to let you know what I'm doing right now. If he passes on Ricky Pearsall, I'm taking Pearsall. If he takes Pearsall, I'm going to take DeAndre Swift. Spam the chat. Who do you want? Do you want Ricky Pearsall or DeAndre Swift? We could go Pearsall, pair him up with CMC, and look at Brock Purdy later on. The next range of players that we're going to have with us at 90, wide receiver would be like Egbuka, Michael Pittman. Running back will be like Jordan Mason. Honestly, F it. I think for that reason, we got to go Swift. We got Swift, Pearsall. It looks like everybody's actually saying Sticky Ricky. Looks like most people are saying Sticky Ricky, so I'm going to listen to y'all. We're going to go Sticky Ricky, and we're going to target Brock Purdy later. Yeah. That was close. Because Swift is moving up these boards quickly, as he should be, for a couple different reasons. But now that we go with Ricky Pearsall, draft is almost identical to the one we did in the last draft. This is almost identical to our $3 one. Reason being is like just in the other one, we went Gibbs and then we went wide receivers all the way through the next 5 rounds. And then we took Caleb Johnson in round 7. This one, the only difference is instead of taking a wide receiver in round 6 and then a rookie running back in round 7, we go with the rookie running back in round 6 and then the wide receiver in round 7. Okay. Big CEO says, for what reason is Swift moving up? I think it's right for Swift to move up because you have Dobbins and Nick Chubb both signing, and they are now no longer threats to sign with Chicago. Come on, you can come in here. Okay. Mahomes goes 88. I know who we want. Let's see if we get him. I bet you we do get him. Yep, we get Brian Robinson. I think Brian Robinson should be rising as well for the same reason we're talking about DeAndre Swift. If you would have told me we were getting Brian Robinson and pick 90, I think the Ricky Pearsall selection's an easy pick to make. I love this team. Running back, we have CMC, RJ Harvey, Brian Robinson. Wide receiver, Ladd McConkey, Devontae Adams, Ted McMillan, Zay Flowers, Ricky Pearsall. We have some very clear stacking options later. We can go with Purdy to pair up with Pearsall, CMC. We can go Herbert to pair up with Ladd. We can go Stafford to pair up with Adams. We can go Bryce Young to pair up with Ted McMillan. This is a great pick. Yeah. Yeah, if we would have instead say we took Sticky Ricky there at 79, Brian Robinson goes here at 85 instead of Josh Downs, and Josh Downs makes it to us at 90, I would have felt worse about our decision to go with Ricky Pearsall over DeAndre Swift. But because Downs goes and Brian Robinson falls, hindsight being 2020, but I do think it was the correct decision for us to go with the wide receiver in round 7. Evan Ingram goes pick 100. Pretty early for Ingram, no? Yeah, about 8 picks at ADP. Bo Nix would have made it to us at 103, and we could have made the argument we'll get Evan Ingram in the round after, and at the same time, worst case scenario, we're pairing him up with Harvey. We would have gone for it, but let's take Jordan Mason. I've drafted very, very little Jordan Mason so far this year. I honestly think that there is an outside chance he was just propped up in a good situation last year. A lot of people are viewing him as a great running back that's an injury away from a good role in a good offense with an improved offensive line, where he may not be that much better than just a replacement level running back in the NFL. I mean, we've really only seen him play at that above average level for like 3 or 4 weeks, if you really take a step back and look at it. But again, I mean, I understand why people are excited. We got to mix them in every once in a while. Falls 8 picks past ADP. We kind of need another running back here. Caleb doesn't really pair up with anything that we have from a quarterback perspective. The reason Kelsey and Andrews typically go here is just the fact that the Mahomes team takes Kelsey most of the time. The Lamar team takes Andrews most of the time. I don't think Shaheed's that compelling. We do have Nolan deciding to take Purdy to pair up with Jennings from us, which is a little sad, but it is what it is. Okay. Let's move this over. I don't want to say too much till we're on the clock. I'm sorry, but I will say if we take another running back, it's our last RB. We can only take 5 running backs on this team, having CMC, Harvey, Brian Robinson, Jordan Mason. And more likely than not, I'm going to be taking 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends anyway. So we need the extra spot. We can't just throw it over to a running back. And Travis Etienne goes. Etienne would have been the one running back I would have considered here. QB the King. What are you doing, my friend? What are you doing? He goes Goff. I'm going to take Bo Nix. I think you make an argument to go Trey Harris and pair up Trey Harris, Ladd McConkey, and then target Justin Herbert later on. So one thing that's going to be very important to note here is if you're actually looking at the structure of this tournament, it's not nearly as big as what you're going to see with like Best Ball Mania. Like here, in terms of the finals, like obviously you have to advance into the fantasy football playoff tournament. You have to be a top 2 team in your league. But then in week 15, it's you against 5 other people. In week 16, it's you against 5 other people. In week 17, it's you against 10 other people. So you don't need to look for like super strong game correlations. You don't really need to look to have every little piece of your lineup correlated the way that you may have to in like a puppy draft. Here, a lot of it's just who can score the most points. And I think Bo Nix at 114 is going to score a ton of points. Maybe we make the argument, oh, Dobbins is going to be the receiving back. RJ Harvey's going to have the usage as a receiver. Maybe there's some correlation between Bo Nix, RJ Harvey. Maybe I can make the argument. Possibly I take Marvin Mims. Y'all know me. That probably ain't happening. Or possibly we go Pat Bryant later on. But in reality, I think just Bo Nix is going to score more points than anybody else here. So we'll go. Yeah. But welcome to being a member of the flock, Rec. Happy. Rex has forgot to renew. It probably auto-canceled on you, to be honest. I lowered the price of the memberships down to like $2.99. I think previously they were like $9.99. So I think it canceled all the YouTube memberships. But I appreciate you rejoining, my guy. But I don't think it was on your end. I think it was my end. Okay. But let's move this over. Tua goes at 123. I know who I want. We'll see if we get him. Drake May goes 124. Dobbins goes... Oh, Dobbins... Obviously, like I said, this is a player that his ADP is kind of irrelevant, but 125 is definitely earlier than I'm used to seeing him. So any smart person, anybody at all with half a brain cell goes, oh, you have Bo Nix and you don't really have Bo Nix stacked up with much. Marvin Mims is the clear pick. I'm sorry. I know I've said this 1,000 times. I know y'all have heard me say it 1,000 times. But I am not going to be taking a wide receiver who played 27% of the snaps last year over a tight end that just went inside the top 10 picks in the NFL draft that profiles to be a receiving tight end. I'm not doing it. Now, because we have Bo Nix, if Marvin Mims makes it to us in round 12, don't call me a hypocrite for taking Marvin Mims. It may happen. But in reality, Marvin Mims is probably going to go at the 11-12 turn. We probably sacrifice our ability to get him by taking Loveland here instead. But I don't care. It's my $500. I'll go ahead and I'll take Loveland. Just letting you know if you're watching anybody else do this, they probably go with Marvin Mims to pair up with Bo Nix. But now we are sitting with, at quarterback, Bo Nix, Running back, CMC, RJ Harvey, Brian Robinson, Jordan Mason. Wide receiver, Ladd, Devontae Adams, Tet McMillan, Zay Flowers, Ricky Pearsall. And then tight end, Colson Loveland. Which, again, I'm trying to get as much Loveland, as much Tyler Warren as I possibly can. I really like their price in round 11. Okay. Jay Killa says, I like the Ingram Bo Nix stack. The issue with our Bo Nix selection, like I said, I would have actually considered taking Bo Nix at 103 if it wasn't for Evan Ingram already off the board, because I could have taken Bo Nix at 103 and then gone like, oh, maybe I'll get Evan Ingram on the way back around on 114. But yeah, Evan Ingram's long gone at this point, my friend. He goes 27 picks before Loveland. I would agree that I would for sure be going with Evan Ingram over Loveland on a Bo Nix team easily if we could have that option, but we don't get it. And unless this team surprises us right before, he has no Chargers, and he also has Caleb and Goff. So the expectations on my end is we're getting Justin Herbert here. I almost considered taking Justin Herbert in the last round. The thing is, Herbert, Bo Nix share the same bye week. So if I'm taking both of them together, I would rather grab a third quarterback as well. So if we're going to take 3 quarterbacks, I definitely want to try to get the biggest discount I can on these guys like Bo Nix and Justin Herbert. Herbert correlates with Ladd McConkey for us. And to be completely honest with you, us deciding to go quarterback in rounds like 10 and 12, I think I'm going to be allowed to go with the third quarterback. I'm going to take a third one, especially in a smaller tournament like the Big Dog. And I absolutely love the Justin Herbert pick. Pair him up with Ladd McConkey. Target a third cheap quarterback later. We still have some of those cheap QB options like Matthew Stafford and Bryce Young for Devontae Adams and Tet McMillan. Absolutely love it. Yeah, I love this. Love this, love this, love this. Yeah, and if Marvin Mims would have made it to us at 138, if Mims and Justin Herbert were both on the board together, I was going to take Justin Herbert. If Herbert had gone and Marvin Mims was still available, even though I wouldn't have liked the pick, I would have taken Marvin Mims, and I would have just stuck my hand in the sand and pretended like it never happened. Did I say my hand in the sand? I meant my head. Stick my hand in the sand. Bad drafting. Bad drafting. Okay. This is a lot of times we do like a $3 draft and I'm like, oh crap, I wish this was a Best Ball Mania. Oh crap, I wish this was a bigger buy-in. If occasionally I actually draft a good team. Y'all know 99% of the time I'm drafting garbage. But this is one of those times where I feel very good about the team I drafted. Not only very good about the team I drafted, but at the same time, it's a higher buy-in, so I'm excited about it as well. Let's see. Keenan Allen goes 147. Pretty early for Keenan. This team's just doing whatever the hell they want. They do not care about ADP. They are getting their guys. 123 for Tua, 30 picks ahead of ADP. And Keenan, 40 picks ahead of ADP. Romeo Dobbs, 11 picks ahead. Kupp, 15 picks ahead. They're just getting there, guys. Garendo goes 149. We'll take Hollywood. I think Hollywood's ADP is inflated for sure, given the fact that he a lot of times goes to the Patrick Mahomes team. I know some people may say, oh, you got Bo Nix, get the Hollywood Week 17 bring back. This is a 10-team final. Week 17 bring back, honestly, I don't care at all. In reality, we could use another receiver. Hollywood's attached to a good quarterback. I think he's a hell of a lot more advantageous to draft this year than he was last season. Getting him at your pick 151, 20 picks behind ADP, I'm fine doing it. So running back now, we have CMC, RJ Harvey, Brian Robinson, Jordan Mason. Wide receiver, Ladd McConkey, Devontae Adams, Tet McMillan, Zay Flowers, Ricky Pearsall, Hollywood Brown. Quarterback, we have Bo Nix, Justin Herbert. We have Bo Nix paired up with RJ Harvey, as if that matters. And then we have Justin Herbert paired up with Ladd McConkey. Okay. Daxy says, impressive, just picking the highest ADP player skills. My friend, we're doing these drafts every single night. Just in case you didn't know, you're more than welcome to draft with us if you have the skills that'll pay the bills. Go hit that link in the live chat that says draft with us here. And come meet me every single night. We'll see what you got. Be super happy to go up against you. Let's move this back over. third quarterback's for sure in play, right? We can go Bryce Young. That team at pick 1 decided to go Stafford at pick 145, ADP 160. I thought we were going to get Stafford as a possibility here in round 14. Let's see. QB the King, what's going on? I think. Let's just keep it stupid simple. Smaller field contest. If we get Bryce Young, we'll take Bryce Young. He goes Young. We'll take Leggett in that instance. Pair him up with Ted McMillan. Go, what if the Carolina Panthers passing offense surprises to the upside? We can kind of just go with an unstacked garbage third quarterback. We can go with Cam Ward, Darnold, Rodgers, Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, Tyler Shuck, Jackson Dart. We're definitely going to mix in another quarterback, but having Bo Nix and Justin Herbert, I think we have enough quarterback production where we don't need to sit here and panic about it. And now our wide receiver room looks pretty damn good. I mean, we have Ladd, Adams, Ted McMillan, Zay Flowers, Ricky Pearsall as our wide receiver 5, Hollywood wide receiver 6, Leggett wide receiver 7. I think we may be in a spot where we can get away with only drafting 7 wide receivers, which would be ideal, right? Because the plan is to draft 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends. So maybe the Leggett selection is even better than what Bryce Young would have been, because maybe if we did not take Leggett here, we wouldn't have had enough wide receiver production to get away with only 7. Okay. Ross Kred says, is missing points at quarterback 1 week that bad? The thing with the big dog is, since like you only have to beat like a 6-team pool in week 15 and week 16, like if it was the puppy or if it was Best Ball Mania where I'm like, hey, the only thing that matters is weeks 15 through 17, then there at that point, I'm probably going to go ahead. I'm probably going to disregard the 20 points or whatever it may be that we're going to be losing from our quarterback room in week 12. But I don't know. Here, the floor makes sense to just go ahead and get the other guy. Brian says Freiermuth and Rodgers later. Rodgers does end up going at 169. Quarterbacks are going significantly out of ADP here. I mean, this Renegade team, I think they're probably just drafting off a pre-draft rankings list. They go Anthony Richardson at 171, like 35 picks at ADP as their 4th quarterback. Cam Ward goes. So we are just quarterback, running back, and tight ends. So just to make sure this team advances, that there's a team after us at 178 that only has 1 quarterback. Now that quarterback is Lamar, but at the same time, like this other team's drafting off preset rankings, so they've already taken 4 QBs. So the quarterback position is getting dried up here pretty quick. I'm just going to take Darnold for the advancement points and make sure that this team gets in the dance. I'm not going to sit here and act like Zach Ertz is the make or break for this roster itself. So we'll go Darnold's. Quarterbacks were running very thin. Darnold at this point was the only quarterback that I could guarantee would be the starter all year. Now, of course, you can say, oh, well, maybe Milroe ends up coming in. Maybe Milroe is... For some of my dynasty teams, that would help for sure. But in reality, the expectations for Milroe is we do not see him. He's like, I don't want to say he's exactly Hendon Hooker in Detroit, but it's kind of the vibe. But running back, we have CMC, RJ Harvey, Brian Robinson, Jordan Mason. Wide receiver, we have Ladd, Devontae Adams, Ted McMillan, Zay Flowers, Ricky Pearsall, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Leggett. Quarterback, we have Bo Nix, Justin Herbert, Sam Darnold. Tight end, we have Loveland, and we'll take 2 more bum tight ends at the very end of this. And we're going to take a bum running back as well. Logan asking what other teams we like. Let's go ahead and see what we got going on. And we're going to get in another draft after this one, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think we're going to get another $500 draft. Maybe we get in a $3 or $25 Best Ball Mania. Looking at teams in this draft in terms of some of the best values on the board, I really liked the Trevion Henderson value that team at 4 got. I don't necessarily know if I love what they did through the rest of the draft. Okay, let me pull this over. I don't want to. We're going to take Chubb as our 5th RB. Let's go back and let's look at some other decent values. This team at 6, insane. At least through the first 3 rounds, going Lamb, Bowers, Bucky is wild. Travis Hunter, Jalen Waddle, David Montgomery. I would have preferred Henderson over Montgomery myself. But then you go Golden. So the one thing that I do not like about this team at pick 6 is just the ability to advance it. Because you're built around Travis Hunter, Matthew Golden, Egbuka, Jaden Higgins at wide receiver. So if we're looking at your first 6 receivers, 4 of them are rookies. Maybe I'm nitpicking there, but I like a lot of those players and their values like in a vacuum. But I wonder if it gets to a point where you're stacking on so many rookies that you're just going to have a difficult time scoring points at the beginning portion of the season, that even if your team has the highest ceiling in the final 3 weeks, you may not be able to make the fantasy playoffs. Coolman says, wasn't Rashid going in the 4th? What happened? Maybe on the first day that these drafts opened up, Rashid was going in the 4th. But Rashid's been going at the 2-3 turn for like, I don't want to say a month, but pretty damn close. Rashid's been going at the 2-3 turn for a long, long time. Doc says he likes Team 4. Team 4, Jefferson, Rice, JSN. Yeah, like I said, I love the Henderson value. For me, I don't like Jaden Reed in round 7. For me, I would have rather gone like DeAndre Swift at 76 and then Michael Pittman at 93. Because I honestly think I can make an argument to have Michael Pittman straight up over Jaden Reed. However, if we're looking at like Jalen Warren versus Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift, I think that those running back points are going to be pretty different. Okay, let's move this over. And we're just going to take a couple tight ends to round this draft out. I mean, Terrence Ferguson, we do have Devontae Adams. We make it the consolidated bet on Los Angeles. I have Loveland, though, so I'd almost prefer to take some tight ends that we think we can score points with at the beginning of the season. Vinny says he likes Team 2. Let's definitely check out Vinny's team before we jump into the next draft as well. What's the blurb on Fannin? May have a major role as a rookie. So Cleveland's going to run two tight end sets. Which if I had Harold Fannin, David Njoku, and then the wide receiver core that I do in Cleveland, I would probably be looking to run more 2 tight end sets as well. Drew says, take Arroyo for a Darnold stack. I don't love the Arroyo prospect profile. And we'll take Jatavion Sanders, and then we'll think about it on the way back around. But let me look at the Vinny builds. Barkley, Higgins, Terry, Devonta Smith, then Hampton. Then obviously you get the screaming Burrow value. I love picks 50, 71 for us and 74. But then you kind of got to catch up at receiver. Pittman, Luther Burden. For me, I probably prefer Jaden Higgins over Luther Burden at this point. Javonte at 119. Love the Tyler Warren pick to end tight end. CJ Stroud there at 143. Looks to be unstacked. Maybe just thought the value was too good to pass up on. Again, I think maybe that goes back to just preferring Jaden Higgins over Luther Burden, just in case that happens. Then you take Jalen Noel later to pair him up, like the Rashad White pick, and then Daniel Jones at 191 to pair up with Tyler Warren. Yeah, I like the team as well, Vinny. But let's go ahead. Josh says Komet's a smash in the last round. Maybe I've just drafted too much Loveland to be willing to accept that possibility. I mean, we can go with Elijah Arroyo. Maybe I'm just making a big deal out of nothing, but I am somewhat concerned of going like multiple rookie tight ends on the same squad. Overall, I really like the team, though. Really like it. Like, I would just do as many $500 drafts as humanly possible if I could guarantee this team every time. And I'm very happy with our decision to take CMC where we did. I think we got some pretty good wide receiver values later that made the CMC pick just fine. And also, I'm happy with our decision to decide to pass on Brock Bowers. We'll go with Arroyo. We'll pair him up with Darnold so we don't have too many people screaming at us. And I'll show off this board one more time. And please spam the chat. What is the next draft you want us to get in? Please let me know what draft you want us to do next. Obviously, we're not going to do another $500 draft. But anything else you want, we can get in. It's whatever y'all want. Okay, we got BBM $3, BBM $3, BBM $3. Superflex BBM $3, BBM $3, $3 BBM $3, $3, $3, $3, $3, $3. So it looks like most people want a $3 draft. So that's what we'll go ahead and we'll hop into. Like I said, obviously, if you're new to Underdog, the last thing you should ever be doing is going and getting in a $500 draft. But these $3 drafts are like perfect for anybody that's new on Underdog. And we are in. And what pick are we going to get? We're going to get pick 9. Back in Austin, back at pick number 9. That's all I got to say. J-Rob's the super flex, but we know it ain't happening. If enough people, Red Dog says, would you ever do a private draft with the chat? Yeah, we can do a bunch of private drafts with the chat. Just, again, it's whatever y'all want. That's why whenever I ask the chat. Full transparency, I have more fun doing the tournaments. Like the first offseason we drafted on Underdog, I mainly just did private drafts with the live stream. Then we had a decent amount of success with those. And I went, actually, maybe I'm okay with this. Maybe we can do the tournaments. Then we did the tournaments, 150K. And I was like, okay, well, maybe now I'm hooked on the tournaments. So I get myself more excited and interested in the drafts when they're tourneys and I can convince myself, oh, okay, like if it's a $3 private draft, I'm like, oh, cool, I could possibly win $20. Whereas if it's like a $3 tournament, it's like, oh, possibly I could win 100,000. Now, will I? Of course not, but possibly. Diego says, I don't understand how Vinny makes it to every draft you're in. So I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but the thing with Vinny, if you didn't know, is he does work for the CIA. So no matter where I'm at, he is able to get into the Wi-Fi and he is able to guarantee himself a spot in the draft. But we got some people saying CMC just went pick 2 in their draft. Interesting. Charlie says, first draft with you this year, longtime member. Happy to have you, my guy. Let me know. Can we see what pick Charlie's at? I can't see here, but let me know what pick you're at. Heath Beef says, I'm an 8-hour German Shepherd picking right beside you. Got sniped on Hertz with Brown and Smith. Sad day. Oh, that is brutal, my friend. But yeah, good luck, Nolan. Thank you for doing that draft with us, my guy. So we have Malik Neighbors. Devon Achane going at 13, so that team at 12 opts for the unique builds. We're going to have a very boring one. We're going to take London here at 15 to pair up with Neighbors. I've taken a considerable amount of A.J. Brown as well. Y'all know early in the offseason I was taking A.J. Brown ahead of London. What we've decided to do to maybe mix our exposure between the two names is we've decided to start taking London at the beginning of the second and taking A.J. Brown when we're more so in the middle of the second round and we think we'll have a shot to get Jalen Hurts in round 5. But like here, well, yes, it's maybe above a 0% chance that he get Jalen Hurts at pick 57. More likely than not, I'm not going to get Jalen Hurts in the 5th round. So it probably does make sense for us to just go ahead and take London. Christian got Barkley at 5. I've noticed that I've been getting Barkley at 5 in some drafts as of late as well. Kiddamore says A.J. Brown's his most drafted receiver. I do not. So here are some things that I am considering in these drafts. And obviously I could be wrong here. But I think people are maybe underestimating the odds that Philly, Buffalo, and Kansas City have a lot more passing, any of those offenses, have a lot more passing volume this year than they did last year. I think that is a possibility. Justice in an 8-hour marathon draft with us. Good luck, my friend. Diego says he takes CMC as early as 4 sometimes. So CMC has steamed up a bunch where when these drafts first started, he was going at the beginning of the second round. Like the first draft I did this year, I took London over McCaffrey. And then the second I did it, I went, oh crap, that's a massive mistake. And then we fixed it immediately where we got a ton of round 2 McCaffrey. But now it seems like CMC, the standard is becoming that he is pick 7, but still outside the tier of the top 6 names. It will be interesting if like we get very close to the start of the year in September where McCaffrey's going and if people can convince themselves to get McCaffrey ahead of like Gibbs. Will be interesting. Joey says he ain't taking CMC before like 8 or 9. Trav Snow says he's at 40% Saquon since I take him when he's available at 2 through 5 in about 40 drafts total. So I've been mixing in more Barkley at pick 2 now that Mixon and RJ Harvey are not in play at the beginning of the 5th round, and instead you're more so incentivized to just kind of take wide receivers there. So I think it's better to go with like the anchor running back than it was earlier this offseason where Mixon looked like he was a strong early round 5 pick before Chubb. But now that I've been taking Barkley at pick 2, I'm getting closer to average on the market with my Barkley exposure. Because previously, I think I showed y'all, I only had like 4% Barkley because I was always taking Jefferson ahead of him. Okay, we will take Lamar pretty easily. When we go with Neighbors London, it gives us the ability to just kind of take the values here with Kyron and Lamar. Reed says he has a bunch of CMC at 11. Let me see what my updated, hopefully Underdog's already updated. Sometimes it takes a minute, like after a draft completes, to update your exposures page. Let me see if I can get my top 5 most drafted running backs from a dollar spend perspective. I don't know if it's updated. I have McCaffrey at 9.7% of drafts. But he's not my top 5 at the moment. So I'm sure after that $500 draft, he'll jump up in my top 5. Yeah. If that draft's not being counted right now, and you had $500 to his entry fees, McCaffrey will be my 3rd running back in terms of dollar spend. Diego says Gibbs, Taylor, Jacobs. Vinny decides to go with 4 running backs straight, going with the hyper fragile build. Gibbs, Taylor, Jacobs, Hampton. I don't think I've ever seen Vinny do this. K11 says, I literally have the same team as you in the other $3 draft. That's funny, my guy. Yeah, so Vinny's just going to be forced to slam wide receivers. Vinny probably doesn't take another running back through the rest of this draft. If y'all don't know, this is how the first team ever won Best Ball Mania. is they went with the hyper fragile build where they took like 4 running backs straight and then didn't draft another one and just slam wide receivers. And then a lot of people thought they could do the same thing the next year and they got absolutely crushed, which is pretty funny. But it's probably harder to do now just because back in the day, the values at wide receiver in the middle rounds were great, where the values at wide receiver in the middle rounds now are not as exciting. Chuba Hubbard was who we wanted. Now that Hubbard's gone, I'm probably going to take Kamara. I'd probably prefer Kamara over Mixon and Harvey. Sidon says, what year was the first BBM? Somebody can help me out with this. But what year is Best Ball Mania now? Is this Best Ball Mania 6? Let me pull this up. I think this is BBM 6. I think the first BBM was in 2020, right? Trevian Henderson goes 61. Yeah, I think the first Best Ball Mania was 2020. I did not draft on Underdog in 2020. That was back when I was a senior. No, that wasn't when I was a senior. Actually, I was a senior in the fall of 2020, and then I graduated in 2021. We'll take Harvey, right? We'll have a very unique build here. We'll go with the anchor wide receivers out the gate, and then we will decide to try to build around some of these other positions here. But yeah, so my first time drafting on Underdog was 2021. So here's full transparency. I reached out to, so I didn't even know about Underdog because I was mainly just all Dynasty all the time until like the end of 2020 when I saw some of the stuff they were doing. At the very beginning of the 2021 offseason, the 2020 year is the first year I ever did this, like, and was an actual job. Before then, I was just doing it for fun. I never even thought it could have been a job. Then at like the beginning of 2021, this is before the football season, like this is like January, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to finish school, but I'm going to commit to doing this as a full-time job. I reached out to Underdog and I was like, hey, I would love to work with y'all in any capacity possible. Blah, blah, blah. I absolutely love what y'all are doing, which is exactly the truth. Underdog essentially blew me off. I was like, okay, well, that sucks. However, then like we were like live streaming and like 300 people were doing a dynasty draft with us. And somebody from Underdog reached out to me and it was like, hey, we're not going to blow you off this time. And I was like, oh, thank God, I'll do anything to work with y'all. And then I started doing Underdog streams in 2021, my first year in Tampa. That year, we pretty much only did private drafts. I didn't really do any public drafts. We did pretty well in the private drafts, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe we can do some tournaments. Maybe I'm not as bad at this as I thought. And then in 2022, we got like 16th place in Best Ball Mania. We won 2 tournaments. We won like a total 150K. And then since then, I've just been freaking crazy about Underdog. We have Pickens, Jacoby Myers, Matthew Golden, all off to Vinny. Obviously, Vinny playing catch-up at wide receiver. Vinny and us kind of doing the exact opposite. He has his anchor RBs. We have our anchor wide receivers. And then playing catch-up on the other positions. I would rather have... we'll take Jaden Reed. I guess with Reed, we get an option at a quarterback later. I kind of prefer Diggs straight up over him, but if we're going to take a wide receiver as our third name off the board, we probably need to be taking a healthy wide receiver. Feels like a big reason Khalil Shakir goes here is just for the Allen stack. And y'all know I was not big on Shakir last season. Like Shakir wasn't really more expensive than this, and he hadn't ever really proven anything. I'm sorry, he wasn't really cheaper than this. But I think Shakir had a great season last year. The best year of his NFL career is not that much more expensive. I think he's getting discounted because there's nothing really in Buffalo with the passing touchdown volume last season. But if all of a sudden you get more passing touchdowns in Buffalo and fewer rushing TDs, I think Shakir does have a decent amount of upside. Texas says, how easy is it to withdraw those tournament winnings from the tournaments? So I think I've told this story before, but whenever you withdraw from Underdog, I'm sure the normal experience is, we're going to take Darnell Mooney. We're playing catch up at wide receiver, of course. But I'm sure the normal experience, like when you're withdrawing money from Underdog, is like, hey, I'm going to withdraw like $30. So like if you go to withdraw money from Underdog, you get two different options. At least I haven't withdrawn any money from Underdog in like 5 months. So if it's different, then if they changed it in the past 5 months, don't kill me. But the last time I had a big withdrawal, I think was January. But they give you two options. It's like, one, you can withdraw to PayPal, and two, you can withdraw to like it was like a check. Like you essentially have to put in your bank info and they wire you the money. And of course, if I'm using the wrong terminology, please don't sue me over it. I'm sorry. You get the idea. It's a check, whatever the hell it is. But it's more official than PayPal. So whenever I won the 150K, I went, awesome. Let's withdraw this. And I went, fastest way possible, PayPal. And then I got an email from Underdog, was like, hey, we're not going to send you 150K on PayPal. Give us, like, do the other option. And then I did the check thing and got the money the next day. But I'm sure if, like, you're ever withdrawing like 30, 40, 100, $1,000 or $2,000, just PayPal is easy. Eric says, do you pay taxes on the winnings? Yeah, if anybody's ever had experience winning a decent amount of money on whether it's DraftKings, FanDuel, Underdog, et cetera, you'll get a tax form like the whatever year you win the money in. And then you have to pay taxes on it. So just like anything else, there's taxes on it. Okay, let's move this over. Trey Harris off the board to pick 100. We have Lamar, so obviously it is in play for us to go ahead and for us to take some of these Baltimore Ravens. Texas Buzzard says it's actually a lot smoother and faster than I thought. Yeah, I mean, it was very fast. Jason says the government always knows when you win over 500 on these sites. I think the threshold is more than 500. I think the threshold's like 600 or 800. But yeah, it's like, I think it's $800. But it's something in like the high 100s that we're going to take Jordan Mason, and then we'll take whatever Baltimore Raven makes it back to us. And actually, I'm sorry, Mark Andrews went 101, so we're just going to take Bateman on the way back around in round 10. But I think it's like $800 if you win it. Then, yeah, you have to do taxes. And Underdog just sends it to your email. I've gotten one of those emails every year. Nolan says now it's $600. It's $600. So, yeah, I thought it was $600, $800. I guess it's $600. Okay. Now, Fields, Kayla both go. And we have Lamar. We're not really looking at either of these quarterbacks here, right? We're just going to get the boring pick. Reason I'm confident that we're going to get Bateman at 112 is like Bateman's probably overdrafted in a vacuum. But the reason Bateman has this ADP is because typically the Lamar team takes him. So we will go ahead and we will draft Rashad Bateman. Dylan says, are we doing another draft to get 350 likes? Yes, sir. We'll do a fourth draft. We get 350 likes. I have no idea how many we're at now, but if you have not done so already, go down there and hit that like button. And so far at receiver, we have Neighbors, London, Jaden Reed, Darnell Mooney, Rashad Bateman. Running back, we have Kyron, Kamara, RJ Harvey, Jordan Mason. And then quarterback, you got Lamar Jackson. Lee Watley says, second, is there a database of all winners in best ball and the strategies that won and the pick that they were at? I'm sure you can find one. I don't really analyze the actual winning rosters much, to be completely honest with you. What I more so look at is just the large sample size of numbers that we have with teams advancing into the playoffs and with what teams do in weeks 15, 16, 17. but I don't spend a ton of time looking at like, oh, this is the roster that got lucky in week 17 who won it. Ross Kretz says, anything 5K or more, they sometimes take 24% to begin with. The thing that I hate most about having a business and thing I hate more than anything in life by far is like paperwork and taxes. So here's what I do. I take everything I get sent to me at the beginning of the year and I send it to my tax person and I tell him, tell me what I need to do. Tell me what I need to pay. So I have no idea what he gets taxed on. My assumption would be it depends on your income. BA says, if I were to just do $100 for these underdog drafts, which ones would you recommend? I would for sure recommend the smaller buy-ins because all these underdog drafts are for fun, right? Like you look at the math, tournaments, 90% of the players are going to be losers. If you do private drafts, obviously the math is very, very different. But if you're like in a $3 draft, $100,000 to first place, like 90% of people who do these drafts, you're going to lose money in the year. The first thing to understand is definitely doing these drafts for fun. And if you understand that, you probably should be just entering in whatever tournaments you think you're going to have the most fun doing. And for me personally, if I had $100, I would be targeting some of the smaller buy-ins and smaller field tournaments if possible. So let me look at this. If we go Jordan Love, we're done at quarterback. We could look at Penix later for London. We could look at like, I guess actually, you know what? We're going to take Spears. I think Spears is a better player than Tootin. I don't want to say he's a better player. I think he's a better pick. Which honestly, I could be very, very wrong with. I have a lot of Spears and I don't have much Tootin. But looking at the fact that we have both London as well as Mooney, we probably want to take Michael Penix on this team. Or maybe we get Jordan Love making it to us a 136 and we decide to go with Jordan Love then. But I don't really know. Jason says you can also use all your losses as deductions. Yeah, I'm not going to give tax advice here whatsoever. Jason says, I got a $18K for fourth on FFPC. They did not take anything up front, just the usual tax form when winning sin. Yeah, that's what happened with Underdog. Underdog, again, I'm not speaking for them, but just my experience. It's not like they took out any money of the money they sent me. They sent me the winnings and went, you deal with the taxes on your own. Jordan Love, we're not able to draft another. Let's just take Jordan Love. Who cares? We get him paired up with Jaden Reed. Good pick. Pass ADP. Once we take Jordan Love, though, we can't take another quarterback. We're done with Lamar Jackson and Jordan Love. Logan says, you have to deduct your own winnings, correct? Like I said, I don't know. I take the papers and I send them over. All I can tell you is my experience is Underdog's never taken money out of my winnings and said, hey, we're holding this aside for taxes. They send you all the winnings and they go, I'm not your accountant. You figure out your own tax situation. But anyway, where we're talking about is if you had like $50, you were going to do an Underdog drafts, $20, you were going to do an Underdog drafts, and you're like, that's it. I would look for the smallest field tournaments you possibly can get and the smallest buy-in tournaments you can possibly get. So like the $3, $5, or if you have like a $100 budget, $10 buy-ins with super small field tournaments. So like an example is, we'll have some flock community contests. I need to reach out to my person at Underdog, see if I can set them up. But if we have like flock community contests, I think those had like about 4,000 to 5,000 people draft in each of them. And it was just like a $10 buy-in. That's kind of what I would be looking for, to be honest. Yeah, I wouldn't, if you only had $100, I would not, if me personally, I would not do a single $25 draft. I would not do anything. I would not do a single Basketball Mania team or anything above. sure Underdog probably doesn't want me to say that, but I mean, that's just me personally. If I had like that kind of budget, I would prefer to just opt for the smallest buy-in tournaments, because like if you have $100, you can do 33 drafts if you just stick to the $3 drafts. Which again, I think the majority of people, if not everybody, should be just viewing this as like my favorite thing to do with these drafts, other than one live stream, is like, oh, I'm at the gym, I need to get on the Stairmaster, I need to kill time. Let me fire up a draft. Because if I get in a draft, it's going to take 30 to 45 minutes, and it's going to make whatever time I'm on the exercise bike, the Stairmaster, whatever it is, just go by much faster, so I'm not bored out of my mind. So that's how I view it. Red Dog says, would I be able to get into private Underdog drafts with the community on your Discord? Underdog is missing the best part of fantasy, the camaraderie. Yeah, I mean, if you are in the Discord, if y'all wanted, just let me know. I can set up a channel. Full transparency, I'm not going to be active in the channel. I'm not going to pretend like I would be. But if y'all are going to do it, I'll set up whatever y'all want in the Discord. I can just do like Underdog private drafts, and you can send out links to each other if y'all wanted to do private drafts. I will say, I'm sure that if you did join the Underdog Discord, they would have something like that set up as is. But if y'all wanted something like that in the Flock Fantasy Discord, I'll set it up for you. Yeah, we're going to get into another draft after this one, my friend. At least I think so. So we took Leggett in the last round. I think we just kind of double down, take Adam Thielen in this one, and go, what if Ted McMillan is not him? What if Bryce Young is a more prolific passer this season than he was last year? So now at wide receiver, we have Malik Neighbors, Drake London, Jaden Reed, Darnell Mooney, Rashad Bateman, Leggett, Adam Thielen. Running back, we have Kyron, Kamara, RJ Harvey, Jordan Mason, Tajay Spears. Quarterback, we have Lamar and Jordan Love. I don't love this team, to be honest. Quarterback, I mean, if we're looking at teams that we've made a consolidated bet on, we bet on the Falcons with London and Mooney. We bet on the Ravens with Lamar and Bateman. We bet on the Packers with Reed and Love. And we bet on the Panthers with Leggett and Adam Thielen. Palmer says, you're only legally allowed to offset winnings on Underdog with losses elsewhere if your gambling is set up as a Schedule C. How about this? How about y'all go and hop in some other Discord other than mine? Y'all can give each other legal advice. Because Brian says, I do a draft on the treadmill every day and it kills 45 minutes. It is funny because I don't know if y'all, I'm sure majority of people here aren't on Twitter, but Underdog, like on Twitter, does like a Underdog Cardio Club thing where it's like, you draft the Best Ball Mania team, you screenshot it, then you screenshot whatever workout you had, and you like tweet it out and hashtag it like Underdog Cardio Club, and they do like giveaways and stuff. If you go to like Underdog's Twitter, you can find like more information about it. But it is legitimately like, if you are trying to kill 45 minutes on the treadmill, the best possible thing to do. It's like, even if, like, for example, there was a draft that I did yesterday or the day before. There was like a $3 draft where, for whatever reason, I lost internet connection. I like auto-picked a third quarterback when I shouldn't have auto-picked a third quarterback. I was like, crap, this $3 I just lit on fire for sure. I was like, all in all, that helped me get by the past 45 minutes on the Stairmaster while watching a YouTube video and doing this. I'd probably have paid $3 to take my mind away for 45 minutes anyway. So we have 3 rounds left. I think we're going to take one more receiver and then 3 tight ends. Because wide receiver, while we have like Neighbors in London, our wide receivers after that are absolute garbage. Ooh, we have the Ladster out with us this fine Saturday night. Hope you are doing well, my guy. And, oh, okay. Let's see if we can get this going. The Ladster, this is perfect. Can we figure this out? Okay. I'm going to try to get the Ladster in this live stream. Let's do it. Do you mind going to your computer, my guy? We're going to take Gesicki here at 177. This is really going to turn this into a party. Bascu asking any advice to get into content creation. The advice that seems like I'm blowing you off, but is the most genuine advice and is the most helpful thing that I could truly tell you is you just got to start doing it. You're going to be horrible at first. You're going to learn a lot, but it's going to be great because nobody's going to watch you at first, which is exactly what you need because in my experience, like I said, my first 1,000 videos were the worst things you could ever see. I just did it because I was having fun. I got a lot better at it as I kept doing it. But it was really good because nobody watched me through those first 1,000 videos that I made, right? I was just making them for myself. So I was able to get better at it while not really having the pressure of anybody watching me. We'll take Chig. We're just going to go through and take a couple of these bum tight ends like we already discussed. Both tight ends have week 10 buys, so it probably makes sense for us to go ahead and look to grab a third tight end without the week 10 buy. Okay, we got the Ladster in here. Nolan says, I know you probably answered this before, but what was the hardest part of the Ironman for you? I hate swimming, but the biking sounds grueling. I was going to sound like such an ass when I said I was about to say something. I'll say it anyway. Full transparency, like after doing the 100-mile run, like thinking about the Ironman, I'm like, oh, that was easy. That was easy. That was easy. No part of it was hard. 100-mile run was definitely 10,000 times more difficult than the Ironman. What the scariest was, because I didn't know how to swim. Like obviously I knew how to swim I can go get in the lake, but I've never like had swam laps or anything, was the swim. It was like the scariest of like, oh, you have to swim 2.4 miles, don't drown. But the hardest is the most important is the bike, which I'm not good at. Like my best thing of the three is the run, but the most important is the bike. If you get good at the bike, like it's a lot easier to trim down time on the bike because you're just on there for so much longer than the run or the swim. So if you were doing it for the purpose of like, hey, I'm going to try to do this fast, you'd want to get very good at the bike. If you're doing this for the purpose of like, hey, I'm going to survive, I just need to survive, then you'd probably want to get good at the bike anyway, because if you can get fast at the bike, you can walk a marathon, you know. Okay. Ladster, let me know when you're ready. We're going to try to do it in Discord. This may or may not be a fail to bring the Ladster in here, but we're going to try regardless. Okay. We're going to take another wide receiver in tight ends. We'll take Terrence Ferguson as our third tight ends. I like Terrence Ferguson as a prospect, and a lot of these wide receivers, in my opinion, like my favorite guys actually aren't even on the screen right here. So we can just kind of go down to the very bottom and get Amari or Tolbert. And then if we don't get any of these players, we'll just queue up some wide receivers and make sure that we get somebody making it to us. But we should get one of those guys at the very bottom, like Amari and Jalen Tolbert. So let's see if we can get the Ladster in here. The Ladster, I'm going to try calling you on Discord here. But this may be tough. I don't even have my computer set up. I don't even have a tripod. Let's get this going. The Ladster, I don't know if you saw earlier, but I was telling everybody to go to the Fantasy Stock Exchange and how it was my favorite channel to watch. And I was telling them about y'all's video earlier with Devontae Adams. Okay, we are bringing this in. How could I possibly bring the Ladster on here?
What's up, brother?
Hey, turn on your camera.
Let's get it. Can you see me?
Oh, why did this change? Yes, sir, I can see you. All right.
Let's go. See that profile pic I made on my TikTok?
No, I did not. Here, wait 1 second. I'm gonna try to get things set up here. Okay, we're gonna go Jalen Tolbert, and we'll get in a BBM with the Ladster because we want to be able to win some serious money. All right.
Oh.
I'm going to one. Let's see. Here's what we'll do.
Dylan, I don't know if I can pick CeeDee Lamb at second overall.
Ooh, perfect. I think I can pop you out.
Sounds good.
And then I think, oh, we're going to make this work.
I'm just watching it on the YouTube end too to see what it looks like.
Latzer's going to be big. He'll be moving around very often.
Quite large.
Okay. Sorry. I apologize for making y'all go through this. But if we can figure this out together, then I can bring guests on the stream more often. More options. Show my own camera? No.
Dylan says you're tiny.
Show non-video participants? No. Here.
For anybody would look next to me.
Okay. God, this is not going well.
What's going on? Is it like a grid maybe?
Oh, what happened to my camera?
Here, you have to. I see it on. Whoa. What is
My camera's fine here. Let's copy and paste this over. Okay, this is not working out well. We got this. Ooh, bam. Here we go. We're just gonna actually I can figure this out for sure. We're gonna hide this other one.
Does my mic sound okay?
I don't even know if you're showing in this. I don't even think I have your mic collecting audio. I'm gonna have to add that element right now. Mac audio capture, desktop audio capture. Is that on? Can y'all hear Danny? Let me know if y'all can hear him. Danny,
Yo. Test.
Okay, perfect. You're in.
Mic for lad isn't good. What?
Well, that was previous. Now let me move the cameras around. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's fine now? All right, dope. I was going to say, I'm like, I hope it doesn't sound bad. And maybe, like, did it go? Hopefully it's on my right one, right? It should be. Yeah, it's on my Scarlet. I should be good. Should be good. What's up?
Okay. And here. You're just going to be much bigger than me, my friend.
Just like life.
Just like real life, exactly. Okay, hey, people are saying you're very. Let me. Okay, sorry guys, sorry.
I can turn myself.
Hey, no, I got it. I can adjust it on my end.
Okay, dope.
Perfect. I think we got him. Twig says you can make him full screen. Click the down screen when you hover over the Discord chat. You got to be more specific than that. All right, let's go ahead and let's get into BBM.
It's not too loud.
I guess whenever I click this, Danny's going to go away.
What's up, my guy?
How are you doing? Maybe you can just be the voice of God. Maybe we don't need to see you.
Not too bad. I heard a young Mason took a share of Devontae Adams on stream because I saw it on Twitter.
Oh, you saw it on Twitter? That's hilarious.
I saw it on Twitter. I'm like, wait, I'll check if Mason's still alive. And I popped into the stream, and that's when I started typing. I just saw a random post on Twitter like, he makes a tweet criticizing Devontae Adams and then takes him. It's like, he must have just watched the FSC video because it's slack, you know?
I made this tweet, then I saw the FSC video and went, I'll change my mind on this.
That's okay. It worked for Nico.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Let's see if I can move this down. Oh, yeah. If y'all don't know, I did not know if I should be drafting Nico Collins at all last year. And Danny convinced me to be drafting Nico Collins, which is what saved me.
There you go. Good process. Unfortunately, got hurt.
Yeah, unfortunately, did not work out, but he tried his best to save me anyway.
Yeah, you got to say, hey, good process, and I'll eat it on the chin and take it next time, you know?
Hey, we're on the clock at 2. What are we doing, buddy?
On the clock at 2.
You know what? F it. This is okay. Just to let y'all know, Danny has CeeDee Lamb ranked at 2.
Hey, if the big man writes it off, I'm all good with it. I'm all good. But yeah, I do have CeeDee Lamb at 2.
If we are gonna have the Ladster on the channel and not take Lamb at 2, what are we even doing here?
Yeah, I mean, the thesis is pretty simple. You saw the ceiling 2 years ago when Dak was an MVP candidate, stayed healthy. His season in 2023
Did I lose Danny? Oh, we may have lost him.
Here, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, is my camera freaking frozen in Discord?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay, here.
Here-
Let me quickly do that and then do that maybe. Yeah, now we're
Gotcha.
good. Yeah, the thesis on CeeDee Lamb pretty simple. When Dak was fully healthy, he was an MVP candidate 2023. CeeDee Lamb 2023 outscored what Jamar Chase did in 2024, despite him being obviously the Triple Crown winner this year.
All right. Well,
With that being said, I'll still take Chase first overall.
we'll go with it. At the very minimum, maybe it gives us a little bit of unique build, especially if we go with some like standard picks of the 2-3 turn.
For sure. I mean, really just mixing it around. The one guy that I haven't been taking a lot of has been Saquon Barkley. I just think the gap, I would say, I mean, we see McCaffrey go 7 overall in this draft, but specifically in terms of the gap between them in most drafts, if Barkley's going to be 2 overall, why is McCaffrey going 10 overall? I feel for the most part, if you're going to take the risk on an injured back, him and McCaffrey project relatively similarly. If not, McCaffrey probably even projects better.
Yeah, I mean, I had been passing on Barkley in favor of Jefferson at 2. Something that I changed my mind on lately in terms of like the beginning of the second round here. So I'm not gonna be able to move this around much. Here's what we're gonna have to do, Danny. I'm sorry, my friend.
Yeah, what's up?
But you may get regulated to just voice.
That's fine.
But
So whatever's easy for you, brother.
yeah, we'll try to figure out this off the live stream. I tried to do it, but it's turned into a massive fail. But so I was always going like Jefferson at 2, and then I kind of changed my mind because if like you're looking at the 4-5 turn now, that like RJ Harvey and Joe Mixon will never go there. It's like the wide receivers are just more appealing. Who do you like here at the 2-3 turn?
Yeah.
We have like Bucky, McBride, Jacobs, Wilson, Harrison.
So I'm cool really pairing any two of a running back and receiver that you like. I typically won't draft McBride here simply because I just love the value of Kittle at the next turn a lot more, and it makes my decision a lot easier. For the most part, the rule that I try to stick by is 1-1Z throughout the first 7 or 8 rounds because typically speaking, I notice the hill drops off about the 8th or 9th round at the skill positions.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of right there too in terms of just like know y'all talked about it some, but like some of my favorite picks in these drafts are like Loveland and Tyler Warren. Like I think the tight end values later are just phenomenal. Here,
them, Tucker Kraft, like it's a really nice range.
Do you want to try to go Jacobs here with Bucky, setting us up to just slam some wide receivers later?
So we could do that, or we could take Tyreek with the thesis that if we make it to week 17 as Tampa Bay, Miami. Either
All right,
or.
let's do Tyreek then.
All right, sounds good. And I mean, he's another one that was actually on today's video. As long as he's like he ran a 10-1-5 at 100 meter, like it doesn't seem like physically he's falling off from an athletic standpoint. Obviously, it's to be determined in terms of the status of the wrist, but I mean, the last time we got this guy in the 2-3 turn, he was literally what, a 21 point per game scorer in 2022.
Yeah, I mean, I am more sympathetic to the Tyreek argument than I am to the Devontae Adams one, and I think Bush kind of talked on it earlier in y'all's video. Because, like, again, with Adams, he doesn't have a shot to be the wide receiver one in his offense, where Tyreek, like, Adams, there's no world in which he's a top 5 wide receiver in fantasy outside of a Puka injury. Tyreek could be the wide receiver one overall if things broke right.
The counter I would have there is we do see the pass split favor heavily this year for the Rams because they finally have a true X wide receiver that they didn't have last year because, quite frankly, Cooper Kupp, if you look at the perception metrics, simply wasn't the separator he was in that 2021 year. I don't know if it's injuries, I don't know if it's age, but fell off as a player. At least with Devontae Adams, you're getting a true and tried X wide receiver that can complement Nakua. On top of that, we noticed that the Rams rushing attack wasn't as efficient as it was the last couple of years. So all signs are pointing to if Matthew Stafford stays healthy, we could see a higher pass split this season. And if that's the case, if we do see a higher pass split, we trust Matthew Stafford, the quarterback, we trust Sean McVay, the offensive schemer, and I mean, we just saw Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, for example, be able to coexist as top 5 receivers. Again, obviously, it's baked into his cost. He's the wide receiver 19. If he was expected to be a top 5 wide receiver, he'd be going in the top 15 of drafts. But for me, if I'm getting I mean, T. Higgins is the wide receiver 5. Let's say for Adams because he's a little bit older, because maybe it's not quite as good of an offense. Maybe that projection 7 through 12. Like, you're getting such a discount of wide receiver 19 to the point where it kind of nullifies it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I know you talked about this a lot in the video as well, like comparing Devontae Adams to like T. Higgins and Burrow, and I see the other people like kind of talk about the Bucs offense in the same way, where it's like,
yeah,
if we're projecting out like, oh, for this to work, we need to see Matthew Stafford lead the NFL in passing yards and passing touchdowns.
I mean, debatably, I don't necessarily think you'd have to be the league leader, but we would definitely have to see an upward progression, which, I mean, we've had a sample size of. The last time he had a weapons core as good as he does now, he literally in 2021 threw 41 touchdowns. So I do think that a ceiling is there if he's able to stay healthy. We've seen it before, especially knowing that maybe the rushing attack that has been so good has been inefficient.
Quick, we're on the clock with Daniels, Hampton, Sutton, Kittle, Hurts. Can we go Hampton?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Hampton and Kittle, if we can get that, is an absolute smash in my opinion.
Yeah. I've been trying to... The thing is, like, if we just look at the prospect profile for Hampton and the offense that he's in, how surprising would it be if Hampton's the RB3 overall in the final 2 months of the year?
Oh, I completely agree, especially when the money's at the top in BBM. I mean, you want a guy like Amari and Hampton. You balance out with the Brian Robinsons. Heck, you even want to get gritty and add like an Austin Eckler type super late in your draft. Something that can get you over the early season, because when Amari and Hampton does take over, I mean, you're getting workhorse with athletic upside and a really good offense, right?
Yeah, like realistically, like you say Najee Harris goes down week 2. Who would you rather have in fantasy, Amari and Hampton or Jonathan Taylor?
I think it's very comfortably Amari and Hampton.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, this dude could like immediately be a mid RB1.
Like, I think the conversation would be Amari and Hampton or Derrick Henry.
Yeah, which I'm. Like, hey, you know my side of that.
Amen. Hey, I was on the Josh Jacobs versus Derrick Henry, and then like somewhere around like week 7 through 11, I'm like, oh, like maybe this might actually work out. And then in the playoffs, the big dog just started running.
Yeah.
Remember rumbling.
What was the best about the Derrick Henry stuff is us taking our victory laps after week 1.
Week 1, bro.
I had a tweet after that Ravens game. I was like, all I know is I'm like, once thing's for sure, I'm happy I didn't take Derrick Henry this year.
Yeah, no, that's tough.
Yeah.
By the way, let me see this. So when we did our, obviously you watched the videos that we recorded in person. We did like the rankings, then we did the 2 dynasty videos. I have in my notes in that video specifically for the running back rankings on Omari and Hampton. I mean, the most considerable prospects, in my opinion, obviously Omar and Hampton, Nick Chubb, Jonathan Taylor. Nick Chubb, when he took over week 7, I think that's the best comparable case to Omar and Hampton. Even quite like Omar and Hampton might even have more receiving upside given the status of that LA receiving core. He's got the upside, the path to be like a top 2, top 3 overall target on that team. And with Nick Chubb, once he was able to fully take over for Carlos Hyde in week 7, 16.4 points per game week 7 on. So you clearly see the ceiling there for Amari and Hampton should, Najee Harris go down or he just wins the job outright.
Yeah, and I think Hampton does, from a fantasy perspective, have a higher ceiling than Chubb because of the receiving, like you already mentioned.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, he was a dynamic receiver in college. Obviously, like not like a genty type of receiver, but in terms of just a big back, you want to get into space. Amari and Hampton just moves so different out of that size.
On the site, I was reviewing dynasty teams today, and I looked at a rebuilder that had Ginty, and I was like, you know what? Let's see if we can move Ginty off to down tier from Hampton and pick up a couple extra first if we could. This was like realistic. Yeah. Obviously, I love Ginty. I'm not going to talk down on Ginty, but I like Hampton so much. I'm like, I think it is a possibility that Hampton in the second half of this year outscores Ginty.
I mean, like just given the offensive projection, if the Chargers offense is humming.
Real quick, we're on the clock. I think 71, we have to take Jerry Jeudy. I feel like he's an auto pick, right?
You're never going to have to try and convince me to take Jerry Jeudy. I love Jeudy.
And as a wide receiver 3, like we need another receiver. No brainer.
Yeah. No, I agree. Jerry Jeudy's just so free. I mean, in PPR leagues, Garrett Wilson only outscored him by, I believe, less than 10 points.
That's
if I'm not mistaken.
Hey, how long do you think we have Flacco in Cleveland? How many weeks?
Really depends. I mean, If he's starting, I have full faith. But if he's not starting, I think that's just a good sign for one of the rookie quarterbacks, right?
Hey, in round 7, do you want to go Debo? We need a receiver. I absolutely hate Debo. He's one of my least drafted guys, but we have Lamb if you want to make it like week 17 argument.
I'm actually cool with going Judkins here.
I'll go Judkins. Judkins is definitely like one of my most drafted players at the beginning of round 7. He's my favorite. My only thing, and let me know how you view this, is when we have Hampton, if we take like Hampton and Judkins, do we put ourselves in a spot where we can no longer be going with the other rookie running backs later?
I mean, which rookie running backs are you describing right now?
Say Scadaboo falls to us. Are we wanting to take him as our RB? Like, and he falls to us 15 picks past ADP. Do we want to take him as our 4th rookie running back off the board? Yeah. I'm sorry, our 4th running back, 3rd rookie off.
If it's that type of ADP value, I think you just gotta have to by default and hope Quinshon gets an immediate workload. Obviously, an easy path to do that in Cleveland. Martin Hampton works into a majority workload right off the bat with the LA Chargers. But if it's around ADP, like I wasn't really drafting much Scadaboo as much personally. Like I've actually been drafting a lot of Tyrone Tracy anyways.
Yeah, I'm more Tracy than Scadaboo as well.
Yeah, and I mean Tyrone Tracy would actually fit this build quite a bit too.
Oh yeah, no, Tracy
just
right here
based on the early season. With that being said, ideally, I mean, can we look at the wide receiver board just to kind of get a glimpse? So, I trust at least for the immediate part of the season, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy on a week in, week out basis can get us through. So if we do want to take some more upside here, I mean, like if Josh Downs falls, I think Josh Downs is just an absolute slam dunk. But
for sure, Downs never falls now. Downs has risen to a point where he always kind of goes here at the beginning of the 8th.
Yep. People are wisening up.
But Michael Pittman Jr. is my most drafted receiver so far. I think y'all were talking about it, but I think the Colts pass catchers are like some of the most undervalued. I think Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman, and Downs are like some of the most undervalued players in all the drafts.
Yeah, and I mean the free Daniel Jones. I mean, like now back then it was round 18. Now you kind of have to pay a little bit of a premium. I've seen him creep up to like that round 16 area. So I am curious, like at what point do you think him and Average swap ADPs?
I think it maybe has already happened, if not all.
Has it already happened?
It's damn close. If it hasn't already happened, it's going to happen real quick. But here, real quick, we're about to be on the clock, and we need to talk about A-Rich versus Daniel Jones as well, because that's something I'm interested to pick your brain on. So we're pick 95. Quarterback, Kyler, Bo Nix. We don't have either stacking option. Running back, receiver, we have Jordan Mason, Jaden Higgins. Can we go Jaden Higgins here as our 4th receiver? What do you think about that?
I'm cool with that. Plus, you got the Week 17 implication, Chargers versus Texans. So if you want to get some correlation there, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. I never take Luther Burden or Trey Harris here ever.
Oh, I take a lot of Luther Burden.
You do?
I mean, I'm gonna be Bears pilled for sure. Anyways, too.
Like I take a ton of Loveland. Like I would rather have Loveland later than Burden.
I just get both because I'm avoiding DJ Moore like the plague.
Oh, really? You think DJ Moore's done?
Yeah. Avoiding DJ Moore, I'm taking calculated shots on Rome Odunze. I want to be at about 9 to 13% is where I want to be, just because I'm going to be high on the offense. And yeah, I'm just kind of cycling between the other cheaper options. I don't know, man. The vibes with DJ Moore right now aren't great. On top of that, I mean, it's kind of remarkable. Ben Johnson has already found a way to call him out in press conferences for the lack of effort he saw. And if you actually watch the quarterback school, that was made apparent on his channel as well. So very curious how the tea leaves going to fall there.
I think I'm going to take Jalen Warren here. Is that cool with you?
I'm cool with that or Burden, but whichever one you like.
I'm not taking Burden, especially like as a tiebreaker. We have Hampton, Judkins, Jaden Higgins. Like we're already sitting with 3 rookies. I don't want 4 rookies in our first 9 picks.
I think that makes sense. On top of that, too, the Week 17 correlation, Pittsburgh versus Cleveland. Obviously, we have 2 Cleveland players. You get the run back.
God, you love the Week 17. Here's my thing with the Week 17 correlation. I'm going to pretend like it doesn't matter, but if I win Best Ball Mania because of it, I'm going to act like I was always the biggest proponent of it ever.
Well, I don't think it's something that like has to sway your decision, but I also think if you're in a tiebreaker situation, you're like, oh well, like if that game does shoot out, then I want more pieces of it. Now, obviously, projecting the Browns versus Steelers to shoot out probably not a strong task, but maybe all you need in that game would be Jerry Jeudy, Quinshon Judkins, and Jalen Warren because they score all the touchdowns.
Yeah. One thing I do want to revisit, like at the 6-7 turn, I love it when I get the ability to take like Jeudy and Judkins together and just go like, what if the Browns aren't horrible?
That's actually one of my favorite combos. It's just so free because I mean, I actually did So when we did our Can't Stop Drafting video, obviously Judkins was on it. And when you actually look at the data of receivers and similar prospect buckets going in the top 40, you find out that where they would have ranked in their rookie seasons for 2024, Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook, Kenneth Walker, DeAndre Swift, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb. Jonathan Brooks wasn't included in the sample because obviously he retore his ACL as soon as he came back, and Derrick Henry was sitting behind DeMarco Murray. But in terms of the other ones, Breece Hall, 16.4 points per game before his ACL tear. Dalvin Cook, 16.4 before his ACL tear. Kenneth Walker, 13.5. DeAndre Swift, 14.6. Nick Chubb, I kind of mentioned earlier, 12.2 overall. But when you solely exclude the weeks 1 to 6 area and just include week 7 on, you're looking at 16.5 points per game. All those averages would have ranked RB13, RB13, RB21, RB19, and then for Chubb, RB5 on the season, RB12 on that split, and you're getting Judkins as the RB24 off the board. So I feel like you're drafting him right now at his floor.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, this is not a big deal, but do you want to check your mic input to see if it's going through the right one on Discord?
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, I can take a look.
I see.
My apologies.
Brian said no worries at all. I see Brian says DJ Moore is going to be a Monra. I mean, if you just take like a step backwards and look at DJ Moore, this past season, 1.51 yards per route run. This was the first year he's ever been under 2. Like, you see a significant step backwards in the efficiency.
It was concerning. I mean, the effort, the body language specifically is just something that it's giving me weird vibes, man. On top of all the efficiency, look at how inefficient he was last year compared to the year before. He had more receptions in 2024 than he did in 2023, and he had like 450 less yards.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like, it might be the most insane stat I've seen, the fact that he dropped off that much in terms of his efficiency.
Hey, so I know you're not a big Dak Prescott fan, but I do think it probably makes sense to consider him at 119 since we have Lamb.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan, but like, I guess because obviously we have the stacking implications. Like, if we have to, like, we have to.
Hey, well, we can get them on the way back around. That team of 1 has Daniels and Kyler. They can't take another quarterback. Do you want to go like Jonnu, set up a double stack with like Jonnu and Tyreek with Tua, and then take Dak on the way back around at 122?
I've been drafting a ton of Jonnu, but because it fits the build, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, Jonnu's been a massive follower in ADP lately. Like, Jonnu used to, if you remember with ADP, Jonnu used to go ahead of like Kelsey consistently.
I want to say his ADP was in the 90s, so like him falling to 119 right now, maybe it's because of the rumors he might get traded, but like, I mean, ADP value is ADP value, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, he's been one of the biggest followers in drafts. And then we can take Dak. Interesting team, like kind of a bully tight end team with Kittle at 50 and Jonnu at 119.
Yeah. No, I like how this team looks so far.
Yeah, but so we're going to be done drafting tight ends. Typically, if I wait until like 122 to take my first quarterback, I'm taking 3. What do you think on that?
Sorry, repeat that.
If I wait
the quarterback,
yeah, I took Dak here. If I take Dak at 122, or just remove the name Dak Prescott, I more so like view it whenever I'm trying to figure out, oh, should I go with the third quarterback? Should I go with the third tight end? I always remove the names of the players that I've selected, and I replace it with like the picks that I've spent on them, if that makes sense. So like if your first quarterback's off the board at pick 122 in round 11, are you typically going with 3 quarterbacks or 2, or does it kind of matter where you grab the second guy?
Usually for me, if I grab a quarterback in the first 8 or so rounds, I'm comfortable capping it at 2. But like you said, once you're grabbing like your quarterback's one Jordan Love, or your quarterback one's, Justin Fields or Brock Purdy or Dak Prescott or Caleb Williams, guys in that area, I typically do go with a 3 quarterback build just because I'm afforded the opportunity to do a 3 quarterback build because I more than likely have better investment at running back and receiver.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, this team, we only have to take 2 tight ends. We only have to take 5 running backs. So we go like 3 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 8 receivers. And then like an 8 receiver build while having Lamb and Tyreek, even if like our depth at wide receiver is garbage. I've been doing a lot of this. Let me know what you think. I've been doing like a lot of like anchor wide receiver builds this year where I kind of take like 3 wide receivers out the gate or 4 wide receivers out the gate. And then I won't touch the wide receiver position again for like the next 8 rounds. And then I'll go like kind of barbell receiver where I take receivers early and then super late. And like in the middle rounds, I'm just slamming running backs, quarterbacks, tight ends.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense. For me, I've actually been kind of doing that with a quarterback and tight end specifically with the onesies. I've just been looking at it. If I can get, like I said, 7 skill position players in my first 8 rounds, regardless if that's 3 wide receivers, 3 running backs, and a tight end, or 4 wide receivers and 3 running backs, or 4 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a onesie. Like that's kind of how I've been orchestrating the majority of my teams. However, I mean, occasionally you'll mix in like a straight up hero running back where you won't draft another one till round 8, right?
Yeah,
like
sure.
you got to kind of, when you're drafting 150 BBMs, kind of pick and choose which spots you kind of want in terms of structure.
Hey, you know who I take a lot here at the 12-13 turn, right? I know you're lurking in these streams enough to maybe see.
Of course I know, man. He's the man, the myth, the legend himself.
The big Q?
Absolutely.
Oh, he's off at 139.
We need a receiver too, so I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I was going to say, we should.
We also have...
You know, like
nice.
Trey Benson, I've spent more money on Trey Benson than any other running back this year.
Because ball, man. He's on his way up.
Hopefully. But yeah, so if we take a running back here at like 143, we're done at running back.
Yeah, ideally. I mean, what else is that wide receiver after Leggett? I am just curious because we will also need 2 on this turn.
Tillman, McMillan, Romeo Dobbs. I mean, we can go with like 1 wide receiver here, and then so like, do you want to go Tua in a running back, or do you want to go Tua in a receiver?
I mean, this just doesn't feel like a really nice receiver.
Yeah, I'm down to just take Ray
cool
Davis and Tua, and then slam wide receivers through the rest of this.
I like that because realistically, once we take this turn, if you sort by wide receiver afterwards, like I don't notice much of a difference here between the Josh Palms of the world versus whatever the next tier might look like if we take a look.
Like once you get past a certain range, I just call them bums.
Right.
They're all bums. Like, you know what I mean? You're just grabbing bodies.
Like, dude, Alec Pierce is going to have like 3 20-point games this year.
Are we just locking in Tua at 146?
Yeah, I think we have to. I mean, if we miss on Tua, like honestly, Tua would be the last actually. Going back to our point, I'd be cool with capping 3, but if we got completely run out at quarterback, a Tua Dak type of duo, I'd be comfortable going in with too.
Yeah,
if I waited until after the Tua range, like Bryce Young or something, that's when I'd want a 3rd.
Yeah, I would agree. I think like here we have the flexibility to, if we absolutely like need, like it just kind of comes down to what value is. If it's just complete garbage at wide receiver, then maybe we just go ahead and maybe we just grab a 3rd quarterback, or vice versa. If all the quarterbacks run from us, then we'll just take the wide receivers that fall. We just know that those are like, here we have 5 picks left. At the very minimum, 4 of them need to be a receiver. And then possibly all 5 will be, depending on what happens at quarterback.
Yeah, more than likely as of now, again, like unless we get a very, very nice quarterback value, I'd probably anticipate the last 5 being receiver. But again, we'll just see kind of what the board looks like dynamically. Yeah.
Hey, so y'all know I've tried to pop in whenever I can. It was so nice to see y'all live streaming the last time y'all did the BBM drafts, because I was driving from California to Texas. So I was like looking for any audio to kill that drive, you know?
Let's go.
So whenever I saw y'all live, I was like, oh, thank God. But do y'all have like a regular live schedule when you're going and streaming these Underdog drafts, or is it just whenever you, Spicy, and Bush have like a free moment together?
Yeah. So more often than not, we'll just say, hey, Spicy, like what day this week are you good to live stream? He'll tell us, hey, I'm good to do a BBM on Wednesday. And then at that point, we'll mix it up. We'll do the BBMs. And then once he's off, because he'll usually do about 3 with us. After he's off, then we'll answer whatever site questions we have typically.
Yeah. I was just wondering if there was like a time we can tell the people in the stream to go watch the BBMs.
I mean, typically speaking, anywhere between noon / 1 p.m. Eastern time is when we'll do the BBM streams. And then, like I said, if anybody has team reviews, we typically tackle those at the end of the stream.
Yeah. So, hey, real quick, quarterbacks that are coming back around to us, we have young Geno Ward, maybe Darnold Rogers.
Yeah.
If we're looking at like stacking options later, like Bryce Young, we could go Jalen Coker. Geno, crap receiver in round 18. Cam Ward actually gives a couple different options at wide receiver, like Lockett and A.O. Manor.
Yeah. I like that.
Or we can just go wide receiver here, whatever you prefer.
I think I don't mind Alec Pierce here, to be honest.
Right.
When you're looking at just in terms of a best ball climate, realistically at this point, if they hit your lineup twice in a calendar year, you think it's a success. And regardless, either it's Anthony Richardson that's healthy, obviously we know he can throw the deep ball, or it's Daniel Jones. Jones is a better upgrade than any backup quarterback that they kind of have dealt with in the last couple of years. So on top of that, I mean, Alec Pierce was quite literally the most efficient receiver in the league last year. So I don't mind spiking him in best ball leagues at this point.
All right, well, we'll grab him. And then on the way back around, I think we can probably afford to just grab another quarterback. Would you rather have like Bryce Young or Cam Ward here?
I mean, do we have any correlation here that maybe we decide the position?
Not really. We're just going to have to take whoever makes it back around us. And we could also say like, oh, take Bryce Young, get the advancement, and then have Dak and Tua spike for us in the final 3 weeks.
ADP value. Sorry, are you lagging or am I? Can you hear me?
Maybe both of us.
Did I lag it for you?
I can hear you now. I just took Bryce Young.
Okay.
We'll go Bryce Young,
Yeah,
and we'll just grab like
perfect.
Jalen Coker around 18.
Perfect. I'm down.
Overall, so now
is legit.
We're sitting at quarterback with Dak paired up with Lamb, Tua paired up with Tyreek and Jonnu, Bryce Young unstacked so far. Running back, we have Bucky, Hampton, Miami. Judkins, Warren, Ray Davis. Tight end, we have Kittle and Jonnu. Wide receiver, Lamb, Tyreek, Judy, Jaden Higgins, Alec Pierce. Not going to lie to you, not my favorite team.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked at least probably one more wide receiver earlier, but I mean, aside from that, that's kind of where I would notice the difference. But other than that, you also mentioned the stacks with the Tua stack, the Miami stack. I do have the run back there with Bucky Irving as well.
Yeah, I think you said we have a couple of week 17 bringbacks here.
Yep.
This is the longest stream I've done this year. Longest stream of 2025 for sure.
2 hours?
Yeah.
Damn.
I've been
This guy used to be able to 24 hours.
I know. I've been cutting it tight. Well, this is I was on vacation mode until before this. I got back yesterday. So now we're ramping. I'm not going to lie. I was like fiending to stream today. Like I was driving back from the grocery store after like right before I made dinner. And I was like, God, I want to get at it. It was like it's like you're in the tunnel before the game, you know? It's like, I'm ready. Let me at him.
Some smelling salts got you in the mood, eh?
Oh, exactly. You know, I used to do smelling salts on the powerlifting team. I have not had a smelling salt in forever.
Oh, dude, the last time I did a smelling salt, I still remember was when I was going in for my max on a bench day. And my boy's like, dude, I got something that'll fire you out. And I'm like, what do you got for me? Like, I'm so down. And he's like, dude, you got just take a sniff and then go bench. And I'm like, okay. So I go and sniff. I'm like, oh shit, rack up 375, just pound it off my chest.
That's crazy.
Great feeling.
Crazy.
By the way, Keenan Allen is free ADP value if he falls back.
Yeah, I've actually been taking a decent amount of like these UDFAs. Like I had a bunch of J.K. Dobbins before he signed. I don't think I've taken him a single time since he signed, just because it's not that I don't like the landing spot. It's just I have enough of him and he's shooting up in ADP. But my thing with like Dobbins is out of everywhere he could have gone, I don't think Denver was like the best spot possible. So for him to like just sign and then immediately shoot up like 4 rounds makes me think like the second Keenan signs, the second Amari signs, their price is going up.
Yeah, that's how I've been playing it too. I'm not going to draft them a ton when their price raises, so I'd rather just get my ownership now, like at the 16-11 versus maybe potentially the 12th round, you know, a month from now.
Yeah. How bad do you think it is that I'm drafting Amari in round 18 right now?
I don't think it's bad. I think there's a possibility he might actually end up in Dallas.
I would love him in Dallas. I'm not going to lie. My 2 most drafted round 18 guys are Tolbert and Amari. Just give me one of the wide receivers attached to that offense.
I mean, obviously, I'm going to sound okay. Cowboys bias. I get it. Haha. Get you. But man, like the fact that they're as free as they are.
Yeah, I'm going to take Coker here to pair up with Bryce Young. I think we kind of got to do that. And then we'll take one random round 18 bomb at wide receiver.
I'm always down for a little bit of the cokehead.
I think this is my first time taking him. I've taken a lot of Leggett, but I haven't really taken, and I've taken a decent amount of Ted McMillan. I haven't taken much of Coker though. I appreciate you coming on.
You've
my
been taking
guy.
a ton of Thielen, eh?
Not a ton of Thielen.
Taking a ton of Thielen?
No, I know you are.
I'm joking.
But of course, if y'all are not already, go to the Fantasy Stock Exchange. You can see Danny's beautiful mug on the screen now. Sorry, we had to hide him for the views were falling whenever I had Danny on the screen. We had to hide him, pretend that he was someone else.
Yeah, no, you got to just put the brown paper bag on me.
But if y'all want to go check out Danny Fantasy Stock Exchange, like I said, definitely the YouTube channel I watch the most. I got to do a short little outro here though, my guy, because I'm about to piss myself. You got anything to say?
No worries. I just wanted to say, Mason, I mentioned earlier the profile pic. I actually made it the profile pic I have on YouTube. So that's just me on TikTok, just that face. That's why I was kind of mentioning that.
I don't even remember what it is. Can you share it for us real quick?
Just on the Ladster, like the zoomed in picture.
Just share
Okay,
your go to your TikTok on your computer and share the screen real quick, because I don't even know what it is. I know you sent like a link of it in the Discord chat, and I was like, I made a joke hoping that you were singing and dancing on it. But I saw it was just like, this is how your fantasy football draft should go.
Right there. So I just put the first two up there. I was telling you because I made it the YouTube.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But
what's it called? FSE Lad. You got to get a better name than this. FSE Lad.
Dude, I'll tell you right now. I wanted to make it the Ladster, but it got locked on the name for the next 3 weeks. I can't change it until July 2nd.
Oh, okay, well, change it to the Ladster as soon as you can.
Trust me, that's the first thing I'm doing. FSE Lad might be the most egregious thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, Dylan threw the link to the TikTok in the chat.
Appreciate that. Yeah, no, what basically happened is, so initially we made it with Spicy. There was a strictly at the Ladster, but because he made it with an American ID, I couldn't log into it in Canada, so I had to just use a different email to transfer the account over. But yeah.
Well, I think I actually maybe just lost your audio here by doing this. But I appreciate you, my guy. Again, if I wait here one more second, I'm going to pee myself. So I hope you have a great night.
No worries,
next time we have you on, hopefully I can have the setup better than this.
Sounds good, brother. Go empty that bladder.
See you, my guys. See everybody. I really